Hearing that made her so shocked, her jaw dropped. She squeezed her eyes shut and thought, what are we even going to talk about later? Meanwhile, Jacques was trying to explain. Werner, I already told you it was a misunderstanding. A misunderstanding about what? About dancing just one time. I didn't think Raviat would hate it that much. She has so many boyfriends back home, so I thought she liked short and intense encounters. What did you say? Don't tell me you investigated Raviat too? I was just curious about your sister. I had no other intentions, because Raviat would never do something she doesn't like. Don't do that again. A man like you can find as many dance partners as you want. But the person I want to dance with always has a partner, so how about you just be my substitute? Jacques, that joke isn't funny, is it? Suddenly, someone approached. Rose Salome saw Jacques with his arm slung around Werner's shoulders and spoke softly. There you are, Werner. I couldn't find you for a moment, so I was looking for you. Werner quickly explained. I'm sorry. I had to speak with Jacques. It's an honor to meet you, Your Highness the Crown Prince. May God bless you. I am Rose Salome, the young Marquis's fiancée. Jacques laughed and said, we all went through thick and thin together, back at the academy, so it's fine to speak casually. No, that would be improper. We are not children anymore. If those who are to take on leadership roles in the Empire act too casually, it could cause misunderstandings. Hearing that, both pairs of eyes turned to her. In that case, Your Highness, I will take my leave with my fiancé. Werner, even you. Rose Salome is not wrong. See you again someday. Jacques remained silent as Rose Salome and Werner walked to the carriage. Suddenly, Rose Salome turned around, which surprised him a little. Then the carriage gradually pulled away. Jacques, standing on the balcony, looked down and sighed softly. I'm not pleased at all. A few days after the ball ended, peaceful days of regular treatments passed while strolling through the residence with Akatsuki. If there was one problem, it was Raviat, who was currently lying in bed with a listless expression, having given up on today as well. She recalled Akatsuki's words, I have no intention of just brushing this aside. We'll talk more later. Her face flushed red once again. Ah, you said that, so why haven't you said anything yet? When exactly is later? Did you forget? If not that, does it mean you want to just casually dismiss it? I can't just ask. So it's driving me crazy with frustration. Is this how Akatsuki felt all this time? I can't wait any longer. I have to be the one to talk to him first. Akatsuki. Then she went to Akatsuki and said, I have something I need to talk to you about. Have a seat. I was actually planning for us to go out today. What? Go out? Yeah, I think you'll like it. Hearing that, she immediately asked, where is it? Is it far from here? It's a bit of a carriage ride, but it's a perfect spot for horseback riding while enjoying the scenery. Horseback riding? You mean like horse racing? With my stamina, even just riding a horse is going to be tough. I think trying something new is always a challenge. It'll probably be fun, right? But something came up today. Suddenly Akatsuki added, but we don't have to go today. Let's talk about what you wanted to talk about first, Raviat. Hearing that, she immediately grabbed his arm. No, we can talk after we get there. I want to go horseback riding. All right, then once Raviat is ready, we can head out. Suddenly, her face went blank, and she turned away. I get it. I'll go change and be right back. For now, all it takes. Just seeing Akatsuki smile makes my heart race. It seems I really do like Akatsuki, which is different from what I predicted. It was a simple outing, for which Akatsuki had prepared quite a few things in advance. Permission from my mother and brother, our belongings, and the escorts. This was the first time in my life I'd ever gone to that gate, but the place we arrived at. Then Akatsuki reached out his hand to help her. Raviat, we're here. Raviat gasped at the beautiful sight before her. It was so beautiful it made her forget all her troubles. So this is Kat, Raviat asked with curiosity. And the others? Akatsuki said. I already told them to keep their distance and follow us. If we want to enjoy ourselves, it's better with just the two of us. He's right. If Alan saw this, he'd be a nervous wreck. Exactly. I really didn't want our date to be interrupted. Then Akatsuki said, all right then, let's get moving. The horse began to go faster, making her absolutely thrilled with this gorgeous scenery, leaving her completely satisfied. It was totally different from riding in a carriage. Feeling the perfect rhythm of the horse was magical. The wind against her cheeks put her in a great mood. Akatsuki, can we go any faster? Of course. We'll have to go a little farther then. Are you okay with that? Your first time riding can be tiring. What's the problem when you're here with me? I want to give it a try. And with that, she pointed forward. After that, they passed through the forest canopy. A while later, they rode along a cool, green river, and Akatsuki pointed forward. From here on, it's a plain, so it will be easier to run. What is it? Wow, this is so fast, isn't it? Even faster than a carriage. Or was I so captivated by the view that I didn't notice time passing? She suddenly thought, wait a minute, I got so carried away that I only focused on having fun. I have to find the right time to talk to Akatsuki. Trembling, she softly called out, Akatsuki, do you want to rest for a little while in a quiet place? I'll choose the spot. Whatever Raviat wants, she gets. You look so scared. Raviat wondered to herself, is there a suitable place around here? A place with the right atmosphere for a calm conversation. Suddenly, she stopped. Huh? Akatsuki, what about on that hill over there? It has white flowers blooming all over and plenty of shade, so it looks nice. Let's see. That might not be the best place. Why not? Is that place dangerous? Are the flowers poisonous? It's not that, but the rumors about it aren't great. It used to be a spot for lovers. Now it's a flower garden that's practically unknown. Oh, wasn't it once called the Garden of Blessings? Its meaning has changed now. She wondered to herself, is that the Zephyrat garden? If so, then the flowers blooming down there would be Zephyrat, the flower that symbolizes eternity, right? When I just heard about it at the Imperial Palace, I didn't think anything special of it. Then she slowly started to speak. Can we go for a little while? There's something that's been on my mind. Something on your mind? After that, the two of them arrived. Everything in sight was shining a brilliant white. Even though it was warm, it felt like being in a land covered with snow. She placed her hand on a tree trunk and suddenly froze. No wonder this place felt so familiar. Akatsuki asked, so what was it that was on your mind? You haven't been able to look away since we got here, have you? It's hard to explain, but it feels like déjà vu. My heart was pounding the moment I saw it. Or is it just because the scenery is so beautiful? Akatsuki fell silent for a moment hearing that. Thinking back, it was the same last time. She already said it at the banquet, that you get nervous around me. Is it the same now? Wait, before you answer that question. Akatsuki was a little bewildered by her action. Raviat, she stammered in reply. Yes, it's just like you said. Just seeing you makes my heart race. I keep getting swept up in your pace. I prepared very carefully today, so please let me speak slowly, at my own pace. Okay, I get it. It would be better to let go. Just wait. Then she slowly pulled her hand back. All this time, I thought we were friends, and even though my heart raced, I just assumed it was part of your ability, but I was mistaken. The trembling I feel when our hands touch is something different, and it's the same when our eyes meet or when you come near me. Actually, I've felt this for a long time. I wonder if you feel the same way? I guess it depends on the person, but it sounds good. Akatsuki called out to Raviat with a blushing face. So, does this mean we, after the banquet? I prepared so carefully for this, so why is it still such a mess? I mean, it sounded so much better in my head. Now what was I going to say next? She called out softly. Akatsuki? Huh? She boldly declared, let's get engaged. Amidst a forest bathed in warm golden sunlight, Raviat and Akatsuki silently looked at each other as she gently took his hand. Let's get engaged! Hearing this, Akatsuki was stunned, frozen for 5 seconds with his face flushing red in bewilderment. Huh? Isn't this more straightforward than just being lovers? If House Salome and House Enoch join forces, we could keep the royal family in check, which would be very good. Besides, friendship, holding hands, hugging, kissing, we've already done all of that. So isn't engagement the next logical step? I've diligently researched it in romance novels. Akatsuki thought helplessly, what on earth has she been researching? Raviat hesitated and then asked, so, can you take me with you and let us live together? Hearing this, Akatsuki was dumbfounded. Raviat, do you have any idea what you're saying? All this time, I've been holding myself back around people, and though it's made me realize things about myself little by little, I've still been so careful. I've been bottling up all my feelings. I was afraid of hurting you, but if you've chosen me like this, I absolutely will not miss this chance. He immediately pulled her into a hug. All right, engagement, marriage, let's do it all. I'll take Raviat to live with me. Hearing this, Raviat looked at him with a flushed face as they held each other tightly, beneath white flower petals drifting on the wind. Just then, Raviat asked, since when did you become so dependable? When we were little, you would cry just from us holding hands. It was because your expression was so scary back then. From Akatsuki's point of view, Raviat was making a horrifying face. I wanted to hold your hand, so I never pulled away, not even once. My father was always careful to stress, wear your gloves. On the contrary, I feel grateful for this ability, because thanks to it, I can be by your side, since you need me. Just because I'm useful? Wait a second, why would you put it that way? Yes, you are someone I need, but it's not because of your ability. You. Oh gosh, why has my mind suddenly gone blank? My vision is so blurry. After blinking a few times, the image of a blood-soaked Akatsuki appeared in her eyes. The atmosphere suddenly became strangely still and silent, with only the sound of the rustling wind. Akatsuki asked uneasily, Raviat, why did you suddenly go quiet? She nodded, and then suddenly, Raviat fainted and fell into Akatsuki's arms. He frantically called Raviat's name, and then Akatsuki used magic to heal her, anxiously wondering what was wrong. She didn't show any signs of pain but just fainted out of nowhere. Thankfully, she isn't injured anywhere. It's not like she'd get tired enough to suddenly collapse. For now, I'm using my powers to heal her, but I might have to take her to a doctor. The moment he thought that, Akatsuki started walking briskly. At that same moment, by the trunk of an ancient tree, Teshi wondered how it was possible, watching their retreating figures and asking, those people are here, right? Back at the mansion, now evening, Raviat exclaimed in a daze from inside her room, oh my gosh. I suddenly felt so sleepy, but even with my low stamina, there should be a limit. Why did I have to fall asleep right then? Akatsuki must have been so startled, right? On top of that, I think I had a weird dream while I was out. In any case, she now saw everyone staring at her with worried expressions. She asked shyly, why is everyone in my room? And where did Akatsuki go? Her mother said, Akatsuki brought you here and then left. I can't imagine how shocked he must have been. Then her father spoke. We didn't know what was wrong even though you just seemed sleepy, so we had a doctor examine you, Werner also added hastily. You're not hurt anywhere, are you? If you feel unwell at all, You have to tell your big brother immediately. Overwhelmed by the barrage of questions, she said dizzily, I'm sorry, but can you please talk one at a time? Suddenly, another voice spoke up. Excuse me, my lord, I am the family physician. Ah, may I speak first about the young lady's condition? The Duke said, Go on. Actually, the young lady is very healthy at the moment. It's clear her condition wasn't good during the previous treatment. The doctor said her condition has improved so much since then. I had told you all that as she grew up, it was possible that she might become bedridden. But based on today's diagnosis, the young lady has recovered to the state she was in a few years ago when she was at her healthiest. For her to improve this much in a matter of months is unbelievable. I'm certain I would stake my entire career on it. You can even get a second opinion from another physician. Immediately after, Ravi spoke up to reassure everyone. He's right, I don't feel any pain at all right now. To be honest, I'm not that surprised. While I was unconscious, Akatsuki used an incredible amount of his power. I could feel it through my entire body. Right now, my body is in peak condition. Her mother, overjoyed, hugged her tightly and cried out, Ravi, how can this be? It's a miracle. This is the happiest day I've had in so long. I was so worried after your last examination. Today, you can do anything you want. If there's anything you wish for, or anything you want to do, just tell us. Flustered by all the attention, she blushed and stammered, Huh? There's nothing like that. Suddenly, Ravi remembered something. Can you really do anything for me? Of course. Should we all go on a trip? Or maybe go shopping? In that case, I do have one favor to ask. When she explained the situation, everyone was so shocked, their voices filled the room. What? You're suddenly asking for permission to be engaged? Did Akatsuki tell you to do this? He isn't forcing you, is he? Not at all. I was the one who asked to get engaged first. After she said that, the entire family was thunderstruck, their mouths hanging open. Ravi spoke first. Wait, hold on a second. What do I do now? I didn't expect to bring up the engagement, but he did say he'd do anything without opposing me. No opposition whatsoever. We're talking about marriage, not just dating, and I told you to discuss it with Ravi sooner. At that moment, the doctor hesitantly spoke up. Everyone, with all due respect, I have something to say. I believe I have an idea why she has improved. The young lady's health was likely affected by extreme stress, so please do your best to avoid shocking or surprising her. Hearing this, the three of them felt anxious. The Duke said, For now, I'll give my permission. At that, Ravi cheerfully replied, Really? That's right, if you're sure of your feelings, I have no reason to object. But a marriage between nobles requires royal permission, which will take some time. Ah, that's what I meant. Since you've already given your permission, can't we just make the engagement official? Werner asked in shock. What? Absolutely not. Why not? Akatsuki said it was fine. I figured you of all people would be okay with it. Even so, when should we prepare for the engagement ceremony? We could even skip it, since it would clash with your wedding anyway. The emperor might interfere with the marriage talks, so it would be better to lock it down for sure. Ravi sighed in frustration. How am I supposed to convince him? Swoosh. The Duke clapped a hand over Werner's mouth. Ravi, just do as you wish. Don't mind Werner. We'll convince the Duchess. Let's go with that. Don't worry your pretty little head about it. For now, you just get some rest. And with that, she was left sitting dumbfounded on the bed. Huh? Are they really just letting it go like this? What did Dr. Lee Sanj say again? At that moment, out on the room's balcony, Raviat let out a soft sigh of relief. Anyway, my family's side is settled. All that's left is the House of Enoch. At the same time, Akatsuki turned to her and said softly, My parents happily agreed. What? It was that easy? Of course. You were always saying you wished you could be my mother's daughter-in-law. Then, the memory hit her. Come to think of it, she did say that, but I thought she was just being polite. I want you to be my daughter-in-law. It would be wonderful if you married Akatsuki. Is it really okay for me to become the Duchess? His mother and I are complete opposites, because Duchess Padola was a former knight, and now she is the center of high society. She then glanced at Akatsuki, studying him. Furthermore, the Enoch family absolutely needs an heir to inherit their power, and Akatsuki is their only child. Suddenly, Akatsuki asked, Are you all right? He draped his cloak over her shoulders. Your face is all red. Do you have a fever? Raviat quickly turned away. What on earth am I thinking? It's nothing, Akatsuki asked again. What's on your mind? It made her so flustered she couldn't meet his gaze. I can't tell him I was thinking about the succession. I'm just curious about the extent of Akatsuki's healing ability. You. Asterisk, asterisk, hoarse voice, asterisk, asterisk. Despite her worries, the doctor had said there was nothing physically wrong with Raviat. Did I collapse from anxiety? Don't worry, Raviat, no matter what happens. As long as I'm by your side, I can heal anything, from an incurable disease to a mortal wound. Hearing this, Raviat froze in place, stunned. This seemed to surprise Akatsuki. Why are you making that face? Haven't I told you before? Is my power really that amazing? Now I understand why the House of Enoch kept it a secret. An absolute healing ability, if it were exploited for war or power. That would be a big deal. How novel. If you could heal my wounds, you would be perfect. Well, actually, in the past, it was possible to heal one's own body. Huh? How long ago was that? Why can't you do it now? I only read about it in the records, in the stories of the old days. The Enoch family was able to do many things with their healing abilities. And more importantly, they could not only heal themselves but also heal most others without contact, a true embodiment of a miracle. Then, however, as more and more people praised the name of the Enoch family, the royal family began to covet that power. As soon as that ambition erupted, danger followed, and their misguided greed ultimately led to their downfall. The emperor kidnapped the heir of the Enoch family for an experiment. Because of this, the head of the Enoch family, in order to save the heir, ended up staging a rebellion. And just like that, when the heir was finally found, the power of their healing ability had changed drastically. After that, hatred consumed their hearts, and that tragic sight enraged the Enoch family. Just as they were preparing to punish the emperor, the temple intervened. The reason of the royal family and the Enochs is a noble gift from the gods. We cannot allow you to harm each other any further. Therefore, before the Holy Spirit, let us make a pledge in the name of the gods that the royal family cannot harm the Enoch family, even if they commit a special crime. And the house of Enoch must absolutely never ascend the throne. Since then, a promise was made between the two houses, and we shall engrave this vow upon the blood of the Akatsuki, the one who wished for peace to return. Back in the present, after hearing the story, Ravi exclaimed indignantly, "Why is there such an unfair vow? The royal family was the one who did wrong first. Besides, the rebellion was successful, so why did they even make that promise?" Back then, the temple's influence was much greater than it is now, and the royal family also possessed reason, so it seems the Enochs couldn't easily refuse the vow. The people of the royal family also had reason. But I wonder if it was a punishment for their greed. The royal family lost their reason over the generations. So now, only the Enochs possess this ability. Could it be that the emperor is also jealous of the Enoch family's reason? What? That could be it. I heard that reason is why they disappear when separated from their twin, which is similar to the current situation. The emperor is no longer in his right mind. The next morning, "Welcome, Raviat." "Hello, ma'am." As soon as she spoke, Badola joyfully pulled her into a hug. "I've been waiting for this day for so long. Akatsuki, that boy of mine, hasn't made any progress at all, not a single word about the engagement. I'm just telling you now, but do you have any idea how much he likes you? He was a child that not even his father could console, and yet he'd stop crying instantly in front of you. At home, all he did all day was talk about Raviet." Hearing this, an embarrassed Akatsuki reached out to stop her. "That's enough, Mom." He hugged her from behind. "You're hugging my fiancé for way too long. Oh my, look at this. Raviat is my future daughter-in-law too, so what's the harm in a little hug? Then at least give Raviat some time to adjust. And when you hug her, don't hug her so tightly." Raviat thought shyly, "It's so embarrassing for them to be hugging like this in front of me." Then she turned and said, "I'm fine, Akatsuki." Then she snuck a glance at his mother, but she didn't seem to notice at all. Seeing how happy she looked, Raviat thought, "She seems so joyful." Badola spoke with a bright smile. "Let's go inside and talk more." "Yes." Akatsuki took her hand in surprise as she thought to herself, "I thought everyone would be surprised when I told them I was getting engaged to Akatsuki. Who knew everyone would accept it so matter-of-factly? I was so foolish for worrying all this time. It seems like everything is settled now, both my ex and my future plans. I'd completely forgotten about Teshi." Time passed. The next day, in the carriage, Caleb looked at her with concern. "My lady, are you all right? What is it, about going to the temple with me and not Alan?" I was sure he'd say no. "It's fine," I convinced him. Backtracking to earlier, in the training grounds, the guards turned at the sound of an objection. "Absolutely not. Caleb of all people?" "Huh, my lady, you can just go with me." "But you're busy, Alan. Aren't you in the middle of training? Besides, for a simple outing, it'll be more relaxed with Caleb. He's not trustworthy. It would be better if you took both of us, my lady." I didn't want to say this, but Alan, aren't you aware that you're quite popular with the ladies?" "Yes, what about it? You still don't get it? Going downtown with you would be too stressful." After finishing the story, she said cheerfully, "So he just let you go?" After hearing that, Caleb's face went stiff as he forced a smile. That's hardly what I'd call convincing him. No wonder Alan was looking at me with such murderous intent today. She thought, "I'm sorry for tricking you, Alan, but I had no other choice. If you knew who I was going to meet, you definitely wouldn't have let me go. Anyway, do you remember what I asked?" "Yes, I'm to call out for Priest Teshi." "That's right, it would be a little awkward for me to go in by myself. It's because Akatsuki wouldn't like it." But hearing this, Caleb hummed, "You're planning to tie up loose ends from your past, aren't you, my lady?" "Well, it's only natural, since you're engaged now. It's understandable, even though you kept saying you were just friends." Finally, her face flushed red and she burst out, "You talk too much. This is why Alan always scolds you, because you're always teasing like this. But you always cover for me, don't you, my lady? My savior." She coldly pushed him away. "What do you mean, savior?" "Well, for saving me." She thought to herself, "Well, I did stop Alan from firing him." Then he took her hand. "Actually, I have a younger sister around your age, my lady. Maybe that's why I feel so comfortable with you." "What? You have a sister?" "Yes, though our styles are different. How should I put this? Compared to you, my lady, my sister is a true witch. A literal witch. A witch. For you to describe her that way, what must she be like? I can't even imagine it. What about me?" "Huh? If your sister is a witch, then what do you think I am?" He thought for a moment before hesitatingly saying, "My lady is like a ball that you never know where it's going to bounce." "What the heck? What was that? That's not even a person. What were you expecting to hear, my lady? At least you could have said I was beautiful or full of charisma. You hear that plenty from the pink-haired young master anyway. As the two of them were bickering, the carriage stopped in front of the temple. All right, calm down now, my lady. You're about to meet someone. Just give them my name and they'll let you meet him. And remember, don't let him get one over on you. Yes, I understand. He stepped through the ancient gates, thinking about their earlier conversation. In his mind, her charming figure appeared, along with her difficult question. What about me? What do you think I am? Is it because we're too close that I'm having these silly thoughts? A benefactor is nothing more than a benefactor. After some time had passed, Caleb led Tess out from beside the carriage. As soon as she saw her, Raviat spoke up. Teshi, I'm sorry for calling you out so suddenly. It's no problem at all. It was Lady Raviat's request, after all. Have you been well? At that moment, Teshi exclaimed in surprise. An engagement? Raviat replied with a radiant smile. That's right. It's a bit sudden, but I've found a good match. So, your partner is the young Duke Enoch, isn't he? Hearing that, she was so startled she choked. How did you possibly know? Because you were praying for him at the temple. I also heard that you attended the victory celebration banquet with him. The rumors about us have already reached the temple? This is a little embarrassing. So, I'm busy preparing for the engagement ceremony now, which means it might be difficult for us to meet like before. Is that so? What a pity. The time I've spent with you has also been very special to me. Oh my, does Tess really like me that much? Other than Akatsuki, she's the only one whose hand I can hold without it feeling uncomfortable, so Tess is also a special person. It seems I'm more well-liked than I thought. Thank you for saying that. Teshi hesitated. Of course. Actually, seeing you reminds me of my younger sibling. When my sibling was little, they were often injured or sick, so they made me worry a lot. Even so, they never got discouraged and always got back up. Just like a ball, you never know where it'll bounce next. In that respect, you're very much like them, Lady Raviat. Is that so? Am I really that reckless and carefree, enough to be compared to a ball 2 times in one day? Standing behind her, Caleb turned away, trying to stifle his laughter. Teshi continued. Then I suppose this is the last time we'll be meeting. Thanks to you, I've had some very joyful moments. She lifted Raviat's hand and gently placed a kiss on it. Congratulations on your engagement. Suddenly, Caleb interrupted with a light cough. Seeing this, Raviat chided him. Caleb, that's rude, you know. My apologies, I think a stray cat just passed by or something. Hearing this, Tess glanced around as well. A moment later, she gave a formal smile. It seems your escort is tired. You should get going now. Allow me to see you out. And with that, their conversation ended, and the three of them walked out to where the carriage was waiting. Raviat smiled brightly and waved goodbye to her. As they walked away, she grumbled, Caleb, you idiot! Why did you do that back there? I could have become good friends with Tess. What are you talking about? Your standards for friends are a little broad, so if I'm not careful, that pink-haired young master would be your friend too. I'm engaged now, she exclaimed, startled. What are you saying? This and that are completely different. From a distance, Teshi silently watched the two of them before turning to leave, thinking with a sigh, what a sharp escort. Immediately after, a close aide approached. Greetings, Lord Teshi. You have been summoned to the Imperial Palace. I have already refused, and deliver a message to His Highness, the Crown Prince. House Rose Salome and House Enoch will be joining hands. Later, on a rainy afternoon, inside the Imperial Palace, a certain person was walking in silence. Greetings, Your Imperial Majesty. May God bless you. Do you know why I have summoned you? How could I possibly guess Your Majesty's intentions? When do you plan on doing your duty? You didn't even bring a partner to the banquet. What can I do if I have yet to find a suitable match? It would be best if you found one somewhere. Ahem, it is time for you to marry. Try meeting the daughter of Marquis Rose Salome. That will not be possible. This is not a suggestion, it is an order. How can I possibly meet a lady who is already engaged? What? What are you talking about? I never agreed to that. You already went and agreed to it using His Majesty's authority. Lady Rose Salome is engaged to the young Duke Enoch, and with this opportunity, I will also gain the power of House Enoch. As soon as he finished speaking, Jacques was punched in the face by the Emperor. You arrogant brat. Did I make you the crown prince so you could do this? How dare someone like you, Jacques thought, just as Werner had said, remembering what happened before. Werner had said, if you agree to this engagement, you'll be in a difficult position. It's fine. His Majesty will choose me over giving up half the throne. Werner insisted. No. Even so, I don't know the reason why, but when His Majesty speaks of the one and only Enoch, he reacts too sensitively, so you should be careful. Back in the present, an agitated Jacques confronted the Emperor. What is the reason, after all? Why did you make me the crown prince and then tell me nothing? Why do you hate Duke Enoch so much? You'll have to pass the throne to me eventually, so I need to know the reason. The Emperor trembled, stammering, we need to take back. He had once recounted it during a storm. After hearing the story, Jacques pulled his hand back and looked at him with a worried expression. So what am I supposed to do? If I can't do it, then you must. And if you can't, then your successor must carry it out. It is all for the royal family. Kill the Enoch family. Hearing this, Jacques grew thoughtful. If what His Majesty said is true, then there's hope that Werner can become mine. Later at the church, everyone was bustling about, preparing decorations for the wedding. Raviat stood next to Akatsuki, smiling contentedly. Everything is going smoothly. After getting approval for my engagement to Akatsuki, my family has become very busy with preparing for my brother's wedding. The Duke has to research and choose a chapel. The Duchess is busy writing invitations and preparing the formal attire and wedding gifts. Werner and Rose Salome are getting ready to buy a wedding dress and many other things. Raviat mused. My brother isn't having an affair, who would have thought? The day my brother can safely marry Rose Salome is finally here. It was worth all the effort I put in to help him, she said to Akatsuki. I really want to see Rose Salome's wedding dress. Me too. Yeah, you're curious too, right, Akatsuki? It's the wedding dress worn by the most beautiful woman in the empire. No, that's not it. What I really want to see is you in a wedding dress. It's our turn after my brother Werner's wedding, after all. That's right, isn't it? Now that we're engaged, Akatsuki, we should start preparing for our wedding soon, right? Let's talk about that later. Where we'll live, and about our second generation too? Suddenly, Akatsuki covered her mouth. What gives? Why did you just cover my mouth? I don't think we should talk about that in front of so many people. She then realized something she'd recently learned, that Akatsuki gets embarrassed whenever she's proactive. Akatsuki blushed, thinking, does she even realize what she's saying? Raviat, however, smiled to herself and thought, every time this happens. It reminds me of when we were children, and it just makes me want to tease him more. Akatsuki, why is your face so red? Do you really want to know why? Just then, Rose Salome walked over and asked, oh, there you are, Raviat. Perfect, come on over. I have someone I want you to meet, Raviat replied. Okay. May I borrow your fiancé for a moment? She'd drag him away even if Akatsuki said no. What a mood killer. Hearing that, a blushing Raviat retorted, what do you mean, mood killer? Akatsuki, I'll be right back. Just wait for me, okay? Relax, I get it. Then, Rose led her out to the garden. As they walked, Raviat asked, who is this person you're introducing me to? There was someone who insisted on meeting Raviat. A moment later, the two of them arrived at the meeting spot, where a girl was already waiting. Raviat marveled to herself, I've never seen an outfit like that in the Empire. It feels so mystical. Rose Salome smiled and called out, Serendina, have you been waiting long? Not at all. The scenery is so beautiful that I completely lost track of time. Serendina was the princess of the kingdom, invited to celebrate the Empire's founding and to attend the wedding as a special guest. It's a pleasure to meet you, Princess Serendina. I am Raviat Rose Salome. The princess took Raviat's hand. It's a pleasure to meet you too, Raviat. Ever since I heard about you from Rose Salome, I've wanted to meet you so much. I'm so glad we could finally meet like this. Raviat was moved and thought to herself, I thought only someone as dazzling as my sister-in-law Rose Salome could be beautiful, but the princess is as elegant and lovely as a water lily. So this is what they mean when they say some people exude an aura just by standing still. I am the one who is truly honored to meet you, princess. But why is she still holding my hand? Would it be rude to ask her to let go? Just then, Rose Salome spoke up. Oh, that's right, Raviat. It seems that during her stay in the Empire, Serendina wishes to stay at the Rose Salome estate instead of the Imperial Palace. I've already asked everyone else, but I wanted to get your opinion too, Raviat. At our family's estate? Serendina answered awkwardly. The villa is fine. It won't be any trouble. This is a bit of a surprise, but I suppose it's all right? Raviat happily agreed. Of course I agree. In return, could I hear stories about the Hmong kingdom from you, princess? I've never had the chance to visit other countries. Suddenly, she said her own name, Serendina. Hearing that, she asked in confusion, pardon? With sparkling eyes, Serendina squeezed her hand tighter and said, please call me Serendina. Raviat looked at her, completely bewildered. Why is she still holding my hand? I can't just casually call a princess by her name. It's what I want, so it's perfectly fine. I would be very happy if you called me by my name, Raviat. Then Serendina, you should also call me Raviat. Of course, Raviat. Raviat marveled. Serendina is so full of energy, I'm already exhausted. Well then, may I return now? My fiancé is waiting. Wait a moment, Raviat. That startled her. The next second, using her magical abilities, Serendina's eyes began to glow as she stared intently at her, and a jolt shot through her body, making her vision swim as an image appeared. She was standing in front of Akatsuki, speaking cruelly, I'm never going to see you again. Hearing this, a bewildered Akatsuki called out her name. Why are you suddenly saying something like that? Stop joking around. She coldly slapped his hand away. I'm being serious. Akatsuki pressed on in disbelief. Why are you being like this? Because I don't like you anymore. Let's break up. Raviat snapped back to reality, her face pale, as she let out a small gasp. Seeing this, a worried Rose Salome reached out to her, asking, Han Raviat, are you all right? You suddenly look so pale. At that moment, as if frightened by something, she grew wary of her. What's wrong with me? Suddenly, my sister-in-law makes me feel so uneasy. After composing herself, Raviat stammered, it's nothing, I just suddenly felt a little dizzy. Just as I was about to say everything, I thought about what I just saw. What on earth was that? As I recalled the horrified look on Akatsuki's face, why did I say that to Akatsuki? Just then, Serendina placed a hand on her shoulder and called her name. Raviat, what did you see? I'm never seeing you again. Then she turned her back, her face showing no regret. I don't like you anymore. Let's break up. It left Akatsuki completely aghast. He just stood there, frozen in disbelief. She just kept walking. As a figure watching from a corner protested in their mind, no, Raviat. Running out, she wondered to herself, why did I say that? There is no way I could hate Akatsuki. So what do you think? Raviat? Stunned by the person before her, a girl who looked exactly like her was standing face to face with her. You think you are any different? At this moment, Raviat's eyes shot open, her face drenched in sweat, as she bolted upright. This dream again. The scene of Serendina approaching, placing a hand on her shoulder, and asking, did you see anything? After meeting Princess Serendina, she kept having that dream over and over. I have to see the princess again. Early the next morning, at the glass house in the forest, someone approached quietly and spoke. Hello, Serendina. Oh my, what brings you here so early? Actually, I have something to ask you. Can we talk for a minute? Of course, they have also prepared some cake. Please come in. What is it? Yesterday, when I held your hand, Serendina, I saw something strange, like a vision. I was saying such harsh things to someone. You showed that to me, right? I wonder if it was a prophecy. Serendina let out a laugh. That is not a prophecy, Raviat. Do you know why the kingdom of Mong is called the Holy Kingdom? It is because the royal family possesses the power of the gods. It is a name given because of an ancient legend, although now the bloodline has thinned and it has become just a story of the past. In reality, very few royals still inherit the gift, and my gift is this. She took Raviat's hand. To see the past through contact with the person touched by my magic. Raviat froze. The past? The dream from that night replayed in her mind. Break up with Lord Akatsuki. She was stunned, still unable to believe it. Why would you suddenly say that? I will pretend I did not hear anything, so please do not say it again. As soon as she finished, Rose Salome spoke softly. The poison Lord Akatsuki recently ingested. I happen to be the only one with the antidote, you see? If you want the antidote, then do as I say, and Lord Akatsuki might at least not die today. You poisoned Akatsuki, Rose Salome? But why? You do not need to know about that. However, just remember that many eyes are watching. Therefore, act as if you will never meet again. Break up with him in the coldest way possible. That is Lord Akatsuki's only way to survive. Raviat bit her trembling lip. Even if he gets hurt. The vial of antidote flashed in her mind. I want to save Akatsuki, but why? I did what I was told. But why did it turn out like this? What am I supposed to do now? If I knew this would happen, I never would have fallen in love. I should not have said I liked him in the first place. If I could just go back. Returning to the present, Raviat was just now coming back to her senses. Serendina asked gently, are you all right now? I did not expect to see things in such detail. I think I prayed a little too hard this time. What is this? You said we were looking at the past, but why did Akatsuki fall? She realized something felt wrong. Akatsuki is still alive, after all. Then Serendina pulled her into an embrace. Raviat, calm down and listen to me. Everything we have seen until now is what Raviat has experienced. I don't mean now, but from a different perspective. A different time. That's right, try to remember the image of Raviat lying on that time machine. The one that appears sometimes when your consciousness fades or when you're sick. Don't you see circumstances you've never experienced before? That is exactly what you experienced before you went back in time. What is that supposed to mean? What comes to mind is the plot of the novel I read before I was reincarnated. Why would I go back in time? That's impossible, a voice spoke up. Wait, the image of her standing in Akatsuki's room full of paintings, in front of a glowing one. Come to think of it, among the things that have popped into my head, there was a lot of visual information, wasn't there? Vivid scenes as if I was watching them right in front of me. You can't possibly know this just from reading words. If that's the case, then could it be? As soon as the thought crossed her mind, she spoke up. Let's try it one more time. If that's really my past, there's no way I wouldn't recognize it. Let me check just one more time. How could I have gone back in time? But Serendina refused, saying they couldn't do it today. If you see too many memories, it will overwhelm your body. We're not in a hurry, so I will show them to you gradually while you're here, so don't worry. How does Serendina know about me? What is her reason for helping me? Unfortunately, I'm not helping you out of the goodness of my heart. There is something I want to see through you, Raviat, so let's make a deal. In exchange for me using this power for your sake, Raviat, you will find for me what I desire. Raviat stood frozen in place. I still remember it very clearly. One day when I visited the Empire, I met a little girl on a deserted road. Raviat was sprawled on the ground with a grimy face. Serendina, you can't just come near me like that. She's still alive and dressed like a noble. It looks like she was kidnapped. There are tracks from wheels that landed and rolled away. There's no reason a kidnapper would just let her go. So did she jump out on her own? She's not an ordinary child in many respects. The person behind her whispered, trying to dissuade her. Serendina, stop now. But she didn't stop. She closed her eyes to analyze the situation, but her fate was grim. In this state, she would die before reaching the temple. Suddenly, a hand grabbed hers. Raviat said in a trembling voice, "Ah, I can't die here. If I die like this, then Akatsuki." Instantly, the body of the person before them burst into flames, yet she remained. Serendina's eyes were glued to her. The person behind her cried out in alarm, "Lady Serendina!" Their voice trembled as they asked, "Why did that happen all of a sudden? We must attend as honored guests, but if her clothes are this dirty..." Right after that, she spoke with urgency. "Give the child first aid immediately and prepare a dressing room. We're returning to the kingdom." Hearing this, the attendant immediately objected. "You can't do that. If we interfere in the affairs of the empire, things will get very difficult. What's more, if she dies, what about the national founding ceremony? Serendina calmly replied that it wasn't important. Your man is in grave danger now. Back in the present, Raviat probably doesn't remember, but this is something I set in motion long ago. Find for me the reason the kingdom fell in your past life. How could I possibly do that? She thought. This is my limit. The woman then pulled Raviat into an embrace. You can do it. That is the way of fate. As night began to fall, Akatsuki was walking slowly inside his mansion. His face was pensive. What on earth happened with Raviat to send a letter requesting a visit at this hour? Just then, Raviat was up ahead. I shouldn't be feeling any pain at all. The moment he saw her, he walked over. Raviat, why are you out in the hallway? I was on my way to your room. I just couldn't wait to see you. Why did Raviat suddenly make such a bold move and kiss him? But soon after, their lips parted only to press against each other again. Akatsuki said softly, My treatment is all finished now. Raviat is being very forward today. But what a shame. Then we can keep going, right? It doesn't have to be just a kiss. Isn't ours a relationship where we can do anything? Do anything. Do you even know what that means, Raviat? Where did you learn a phrase like that? If Alan or Jenny heard you, they'd probably faint on the spot. She smiled softly. Is that so? Then should we go over there? If we go out onto the balcony, no one will see us. The full moon is so bright tonight. Is it really okay for us to be out here? Out on the balcony, she was hugging Akatsuki tightly, which he found amusing. You seem very cold. I am cold. But I'm not hugging you because I'm cold. It's because I just like being with you. She thought to herself. Every time I close my eyes, I see that scene. That heartbreaking scene appears again. Blood spreading across the white snow, Akatsuki's body growing colder. Did that really happen? I can't believe it. I really don't want to believe it. But Akatsuki is still alive right now. Now I understand. The reason I thought of Akatsuki as my friend all this time, the reason I said I liked him so much, where did it all come from? I once rejected my destiny in the past, and even adapted to it. But if the end is the same, because it's you, things will be different, right? Returning to the present, she asked Akatsuki softly, Can we go somewhere? So suddenly? Is there a place you want to travel to? Well, after Werner's wedding is over, no, I want to go right now, she thought. Let's run away together. So far away that no danger can ever catch up. If we do that, then Akatsuki's death won't happen, right? Akatsuki replied, I understand. If that's what you want, Raviat. Is there anywhere you want to go? Anywhere far away from the Empire is fine. Leaving the Empire will be difficult, but I will help you. Can I leave telling our parents to you? I understand, Raviat. She gave him a gentle kiss. Thank you for understanding, Akatsuki. I love you. Hearing this, Akatsuki smiled gently and replied, I love you too, Raviat. Then we have a lot more to decide. Let's go inside and make a plan. Okay. Suddenly, Akatsuki froze. This feeling is so strange. Raviat is safe and sound, and her smile is so lovely. So why do I feel this distance between us? Before she left, Raviat smiled softly with the thought, Raviat will surely disappear. In the study, Raviat stared at the old book in her hands. Where would be a good place for our new home? Since it's just the two of us, I'd like a quiet beach, or we could live in a bustling neighborhood. In a distant city would be fine too. The Emperor is the only one who wants to harm Akatsuki, and it seems he's getting old and has a chronic illness. It won't be a big deal if the Emperor is far from the capital. He probably won't follow me abroad before he passes away, right? If we go abroad, where should we go? Oh my. As soon as she opened the book, she was overwhelmed. This was a document about the Mongda Kingdom. The Mong Kingdom is a nation located between Akatsuki and the Six Great Lands. Although the kingdom is small, it has a long history. 100 years ago, before it opened its doors for trade, it was said that almost everything about the Mong Kingdom was hidden. The royal family and its people are sincere, a place filled with a unique and beautiful culture. The first foreigner to approach that kingdom said this, If there is a country where God lives, this is it. Raviat's gaze tensed slightly as she thought, What gods? How ridiculous. If gods really existed, Akatsuki wouldn't have had to go through something like that. I'm a bad person, planning to use someone else. In the novel, didn't Akatsuki also have a one-sided love? He's having such a hard time now, still liking someone like me. Just thinking about Akut makes me miss him so much. After rereading the memories of the past, I want to stay by Akut's side. It seems my subconscious desires exploded after being constantly suppressed. What is this sad feeling? The clock struck 2 o'clock, which made her panic. It's already time. I promised to meet Serendina. She neatly stacked the books. What should I say when I get there? I could just pretend no deal was ever offered. After thinking, Raviat told herself, that won't work. She stood before Serendina, holding a pile of books, but Serendina said that giving up like this was not an option. I'm not saying this to ask for Serendina's permission, and leaving isn't giving up, it's a form of resistance. Honestly, I don't understand how the Mong Kingdom is connected to me. This is a very difficult situation. Just to save my own life, there's no reason for me to be involved in something so big. Raviat, I told you this last time. That is something you, Raviat, did a long time ago. Actually, we met 9 years ago. She recounted the entire story. That day, I happened to meet you, Raviat, who had been in an unfortunate accident. Through you, I was able to read 2 events. One was that the successor of the Mong Kingdom would be attacked and lose their life. Following that was that the powers of fire and water are mortal enemies. The second was that the power of the Hmong kingdom would gradually weaken, and one day it would be engulfed in a great fire and be destroyed. But thanks to reading your memories that day, Raviat, I was able to prevent the attack that was disguised as an accident. Therefore, the successor of the Hmong kingdom is still safe. You, Raviat, have influenced the future of the kingdom. Returning to the present, she waved her hand and said, with my ability, I can't find the past I'm looking for in one go, and people don't lose their memories from shock like they used to. You were young back then. Raviat was a little skeptical. We met 9 years ago? Could it have been when I was kidnapped? At that time, I was discovered at a nearby hospital, breathing with difficulty. The person who rescued me took me to the hospital without revealing their identity, left no trace for the Empire to find, and then disappeared, which is why I lost my memory of the kidnapping. I just thought I had passed the deadliest part. Was that because I met Serendina? But Raviat still denies it. How could you believe that? It has been a long time, so it is not unreasonable to be skeptical. So then let us talk about what you have been thinking about lately. About Raviat's fiancé. Raviat was still alive when he passed away, and no matter how difficult it was, you would have lived a different life after that. So how is it that you exist here now? Is that not a little strange? Raviat stood frozen, not understanding what was going on as that scene continued to appear, and thinking back, the scenery in her memory was all snowy fields, with nothing around, in a place with neither enemies nor allies. How did I turn back time? Only the Enoch and the royal family have this ability, and I do not have any special powers. Serendina leaned in close to her. Are you more curious now? It is the same for you, Raviat, having to find your past, because if you do not know the truth, you will not know how fate might repeat itself. Raviat pressed her lips together, thinking to herself, just for that one possibility, must I keep looking at such painful memories, digging up the truth and destiny? That is something a strong person can do. To be honest, did you know I was planning to run away? I mean, I am too weak to face such difficult things. If you looked at my condition 9 years ago, you would know, Serendina said. Even so, but before she could finish, Raviat cut her off. Right? The Hmong kingdom is called the Holy Kingdom. I told you it is a wonderful place. Tell me how to protect myself, and then I will reconsider. Serendina stood motionless, thinking to herself. I never expected the benefactor of the Hmong kingdom to have a personality like this. She is just as interesting as I had heard. Raviat also became pensive. Maybe this will be more satisfying than I thought. All right, I will give you something that can give Raviat more strength. At the residence at that time, I came to see Emperor Jacques. An announcement, His Majesty is currently ill. If you have a message, I will take it. The priest replied. The Crown Prince means no disrespect to your highness. If I cannot see His Majesty, it would be better to come again later. Wait a moment, I happen to have something I want to ask the Crown Prince. Please, ask anything you wish. If the Enoch's abilities are eliminated from this world, is it true that the royal family's abilities will return? He was silent for a moment. Then, he confirmed that what your Majesty said is the truth, without a doubt. The royal family has now lost its abilities. Because of the oath the royal family made with the Enoch a long time ago, a part of that ability is now dormant. Therefore, if the subject of the oath disappears, that power can be awakened. At the temple, the power of charm built the Reman Empire. The power of the royal family that built the empire, that power was a monster that killed anyone who made eye contact with it. They prayed for a hero to strike it down. The hero avoided the monster's gaze and slit its throat, and as blood sprayed everywhere, he realized he had changed. The monster's ability to mesmerize humans was now his own. Except for a rare few who were unaffected, it was an overwhelming power over most people. The hero was elevated to the position of emperor using that power. That was the beginning of the Leonid royal family. Hearing this, Jacques was stunned and lost in thought. If the Enoch disappear, will that power really return? The priest continued. It is not an easy task, because Enoch is not an opponent to be trifled with. An oath prevents him from being harmed directly, and his family holds immense military power. Besides, he became a hero in a war everyone thought would kill him. If we mess with Enoch recklessly, the citizens of the empire might rise up in protest. The emperor was extremely worried, so Jacques asked, so what's the bottom line? Ultimately, it's not as if Akatsuki is someone we can use, the priest answered. It's still uncertain. If we don't choose our methods carefully, a certain possibility might arise. Jacques wondered to himself, a possibility, the priest continued. His Majesty the Emperor is hesitating, insisting on directly pressuring House Enoch. But when a tree is dying, instead of just breaking the branches, don't you know the most effective way is to ruin the soil and pull it out by the roots? If you can't touch the man himself, you just have to touch those around him. For example, we could win over all the nobles in Enoch's circle. You, ambassador, only stay in the temple so you wouldn't know about politics. But right now, the aristocracy is split in two, those who follow me and those who follow the prince. If I were to buy off the nobles in this situation, would isolating Enoch be that easy? It's pointless. It's just a waste of time. What was I even hoping for? It's just a pipe dream. The priest then said in a low voice, we may not know politics, but the temple knows some things better than anyone. Hearing this, Jacques looked up and asked, what do you mean by that? Like I said before, if we don't choose our methods carefully. A black liquid potion. Its name is Medusa. Is the crown prince ready to become a monster? Late that night, Akatsuki was still working in his study. He lowered his hand. only to freeze. I want to leave right now. He thought of Raviat. It was the first time he'd ever seen such an anxious expression on her face. At the time, I thought she looked like she could cry at any moment, so I just let it slide. If I had known, I would have talked to her more. Suddenly, a voice called out, "Captain, you have a visitor. I don't have any appointments at this hour. Tell them to come back later. I'm swamped with work right now." "Are you sure you want me to say that? You're going to regret it." "Why? Your fiancé is here." At that moment, Raviat thought, Akatsuki always looks so sharp, and said, "I'm sorry for showing up so suddenly. If it's you, Raviat, you're always welcome. Is something the matter?" "No, it's just, last time, I said I wanted to go far away. I came to take that back." "Huh?" Looking back, I was being so selfish. My brother is getting ready to marry and we're engaged, so my feelings must be a mess. Of course, it's not that I don't want to get married," Akatsuki called out. "Raviat, let me see. You didn't burn your mouth, did you?" No, I'm fine." "Are you really okay?" As his fingers touched her lips, she couldn't stop herself from licking them. "Ah, what am I doing? I want to touch Akatsuki more. It's this overwhelming feeling of needing to hold him." He looked slightly surprised. "Raviat, are you still licking my fingers?" Akatsuki started to say, "For some reason right now," but before he could finish, she pulled him into a kiss. "Akatsuki, I love you. I love you so much. I don't want to leave your side for even a moment," Akatsuki responded in kind, wrapping his arms around her waist. "Let me feel your warmth and your breath." The corners of her eyes glistened with tears. "I want to feel the proof that you're alive. Make me forget that I abandoned you in that cold place." Suddenly, Akatsuki pushed her away. Raviat asked quietly, "Akatsuki, what's wrong? Why do you look so sad?" "Hey, we're engaged, so this should be fine. We've kissed before, didn't you like it?" "No, it's not that." "Raviat, who are you looking at right now? What is this all about?" "You're asking who I'm looking at?" "I'm looking at Akatsuki." Raviat held him, thinking to herself, "That's right, even now you're right in front of me. I can't really explain it. For some reason, I feel like you're looking somewhere else, not at me. Oh dear, oh dear. I just feel sorry for the Akatsuki of the past. That moment was so sad and painful. You look so dazed, I was just trying to cherish Akatsuki." "Are you still reflecting on Akatsuki's past even now?" Fear showed on her face. "The person I like, he was such a crybaby, and only ever chased after me. He was a little boy holding a sword that was bigger than his own hands, just to protect me. Just like our childhood promise, he appeared before me like a knight. The Akut of today. Even so, I was so tied up in the past that I couldn't see the Akut right in front of me." "I'm sorry." Raviat bit her hand so hard it trembled. "I'm sorry, Akut. I just lost my composure for a second. I can't be like this to you." Akatsuki grabbed her hand. "Raviat, stop and pull yourself together. Don't apologize. I'm just worried about you. But please tell me what's bothering you so much. Maybe I can help." Raviat was a little taken aback by his words. "Akatsuki, it's just that I've been having nightmares lately. I see you getting hurt badly and dying. It's so vivid that I keep thinking about it, so I'm really worried you'll actually get hurt." "I'm sorry, it's weird, isn't it? It's just a dream." Akatsuki was surprised. "It's not weird at all." Instantly, Raviat was stunned. She couldn't believe he would say that. Akatsuki gripped her hand tightly. "I told you I used to have nightmares on the battlefield too, right? It's probably because you feel anxious. If you felt safe, you wouldn't have nightmares, right? Like at Werner's wedding. At places with a lot of outsiders, if we increase the number of guards a little, you'll feel more at ease. This wedding is a joyous occasion for the Rose Salome family, so many knights have decided to stand guard, including the knights of the DEA. If we add Enoch's forces too, there won't be any problems even if it gets dangerous. I'll do my best to make sure. Your dream doesn't become a reality, so don't worry all by yourself," she thought, even though it was only a half confession. "Akatsuki is still trying to find a way to help me. I wish I'd done this from the start." Moved, she threw her arms around Akatsuki. "Thank you, I'll be more honest too," Raviat said to herself. "No matter how tiring and terrifying it gets, I have to find out everything. I won't let something horrible happen again." Then she asked, "Everything's okay now, right?" "It will be, Raviat." After that, I looked into my memories with Serendina a few more times, but I couldn't find the information I needed. Even when I tried to search for other memories, all I could see was blinding white snow. The carriage moved. Raviat sat inside with a thoughtful expression. How ironic. I've never watched the snow with the Akatsuki of today. Anyway, if things don't progress, this is going to be difficult. And just like that, it's already my brother's wedding day. Werner spoke with a pale face, so nervous he looked like he was about to faint. "Don't just stand there like an idiot. Come on, shoulders back like this, chin up, and stop shaking your legs like that. Great, just like that. My brother is definitely at his best when he just sits still." Hearing that made him even more confident. "Is that so? How long do I have to do this? For the rest of my life?" Over here, everyone was gathered. As Raviat and Werner stepped out, she couldn't help but wonder. Huh? Why is it so noisy all of a sudden? Outside the door, Jacques and Serendina were greeting each other. Who on earth has arrived? Looking at them, Raviat thought to herself, are those three sitting together? This is a wedding for important families in the Empire. Even though many distinguished guests are here, I never expected the opposing prince and the crown prince to be together. She immediately told herself she had to hide. I have to avoid being seen somehow. Before she could run, Werner stopped her. It really is a shame that I'm getting married, right? Raviat asserted. It's absolutely not like that. She thought that before Akatsuki arrived, staying by her brother's side was the safest. Even if he's a bit of a fool, he's still on my side. Akatsuki was checking security with the knights. He asked, but doesn't Raviat need to go see her sister-in-law? Sister-in-law? Why, do you want to see her in her wedding dress? But I have to keep an eye on you. Don't worry about me. You should go. Today is an important day for Rose Salome too. Raviat thought to herself, it's a good thing he's become more considerate. An old memory then surfaced in her mind. After that day, Rose Salome became more awkward. No, don't dwell on the past. Unlike the Rose Salome from my memories, the Rose Salome of today really likes me. I just need to greet her quickly and come back. At this, she replied, I know. I'll go and be right back. Inside the room, Rose Salome was sitting with her wedding bouquet when she heard a knock on the door. Rose Salome's voice called out, yes, please come in. Meanwhile, Serendina looked around and asked, she was just over there a moment ago. Where did she go? Jacques immediately said, Miss Raviat is naturally shy around strangers. Where could she have hidden? She immediately retorted sarcastically, she's probably shy around men with dark intentions. To me, she's just an adorable child. Felix, standing to the side, thought to himself, that one over there is just as dark. Serendina looked over at Felix. What are you doing? Oh, nothing. Anyway, you two should just relax. It's been a long time since fellow Academy alumni have gotten together. Felix gave a forced laugh. Ha ha, but inwardly he was frustrated. Why did I have to run into Serendina and Jacques? I'd be more comfortable on the battlefield. Especially Jacques. What is he thinking attending this wedding? He's not happy about Werner's marriage. Back to Raviat. Raviat raised her hand hesitantly, then calmed herself down. Don't be nervous. It's just a simple greeting. From inside, a voice called out, yes, please come in. Raviat thought, if I open the door, my sister-in-law will welcome me like usual. Then she called out, it's me, Raviat. Hearing her name, Rose Salome said happily, Raviat, come in quickly. I was worried when I didn't see you. It seems very busy outside. Raviat stammered, about that. She marveled to herself. She's always beautiful, but today she's 100,000 times more stunning. She smiled brightly and said, congratulations on your wedding ceremony. You look truly beautiful today. If you weren't my brother's bride, I might have just snuck you away. Oh my, if it were you, Raviat, I might have just gone along with it. I'm quite serious, you know? Really, if I were to run away with Raviat, although it would be very difficult to outrun Lord Akatsuki, to the ends of the earth with that scary face? It's not because you two have a bad relationship, is it? Rose Salome was surprised. What? You think I don't just enjoy teasing Akatsuki? If it were Raviat, her expressions would change constantly, which is so amusing. In reality, we're more like comrades than enemies, like predators chasing a rabbit. Raviat breathed a sigh of relief, thinking how lucky she was. The past and the present really were different, even if she didn't know everything that had happened before. No matter what anyone says, my sister-in-law will be on my side. Raviat bowed and said, in that case, I'll go back to my seat with the guests. Oh, okay, the ceremony is about to begin. Raviat glanced to the side, where 2 empty wine glasses sat on the table. Rose Salome followed her gaze and suddenly stiffened. Her expression faltered. A moment ago, Jacques had brought a glass of wine to congratulate her, and Rose Salome had happily chatted with him over a drink. Suddenly, her eyes flew open, and she screamed in pain while clutching her head. A panicked Raviat rushed toward her. Rose Salome's expression changed in an instant, her gaze turning sharp and cold. Without hesitation, she reached out for Raviat's face, catching her completely off guard. Outside in the hall, the atmosphere was lively when Werner looked toward the door and suddenly exclaimed, oh, Akatsuki is here. Akatsuki walked in and asked, where is Raviat? Oh, she said she was going to see Rose Salome a little while ago, but she hasn't returned. When those two get together, they lose all track of time. Akatsuki turned to leave. Then I'll go get her. All right, I'm counting on you. As Akatsuki walked, he thought to himself, I've already checked the surrounding area several times, and I haven't found any dangerous items or suspicious people. Akatsuki approached Alan to speak with him. He raised a hand to knock on Rose Salome's door. I need to tell her this quickly. Hopefully it will put Raviat at ease. The moment the door opened, the scene inside left them both stunned. Inside the room, the wedding bouquet was strewn across the floor. The window was flung wide open. At that moment, in some deserted place, Raviat lay on the cold ground with her hands tied. She slowly came to. Wait. Where am I? What happened? I remember going to greet Sister Rose Salome. The next thing she knew, Rose Salome was clamping a hand over her mouth. After a moment, her eyes had closed and she lost consciousness. The memory made her jolt. That's right, Sister Rose Salome kidnapped me. But why on earth? We were just talking normally a moment ago. Then she suddenly turned into someone else? Suddenly, a person approached her and said, so, you're awake? Raviat struggled to sit up to see them, asking, why are you doing this to me? Let me go right now. Looking at the person before her, she stammered in shock. Sister? I'm sorry, I didn't want to do this. It's a pity, Raviat. In Rose Salome's waiting room, Alan was saying, I didn't sense any signs of an intruder. I couldn't understand what they were talking about, but I could hear both of their voices. Even when I asked what was happening inside because the sound suddenly stopped, Rose Salome called out, "It's nothing. I just have something to discuss with Raviat. So please don't come in." Miss Rose Salome's voice sounded completely normal. It didn't sound like a threat or like anyone was under duress. At that moment, two nearby maids spoke up. "If we may have a word. A moment ago, we saw someone with red hair at the back door carrying a person and leaving in a hurry. We don't think it was Miss Rose Salome." Just then, Werner approached, stunned. "What does that mean? Are you saying Rose Salome kidnapped Raviat?" Akatsuki approached the window to observe. There were no signs of a break-in, so that must be it. If Miss Rose Salome was also kidnapped, then there should have been signs of a struggle. That's impossible. Why would Rose Salome? Raviat. Akatsuki turned his head and said, "This is no time to be arguing about that. We have to find Miss Rose Salome and Raviat immediately." "Ah, that's right. Alan, stop the wedding and gather everyone." Alan replied, "Yes, sir. And Akatsuki, you too." But before he could finish his sentence, Akatsuki responded, Yes, I'll go after them right away." Meanwhile, with Raviat, Tess stood before her and said, "What a shame, Raviat," she thought to herself. The face was familiar yet strange, the voice a bit higher than before. She stammered, "You couldn't possibly be Tess, could you? Why are you here? Then what about Miss Rose Salome?" Tess slowly sat down. Rose Salome. Rose Salome's role was to lure Raviat away from the party. I planned to use her as bait to buy time, but the search party was formed sooner than I thought. By now, Akatsuki and Alan had already set out to find you. And as for Rose Salome, she is currently lying all alone in a remote, deserted place. They've probably found out by now, Raviat thought. A role. If that's the case, then are you the one behind this, Tess? Miss Rose Salome's eyes had changed so suddenly, as if by magic or some kind of drug. In any case, my opponent is Tess, trying to test her. I'm not sure if that would be a wise move on my part. Miss Rose Salome is a good fighter, so struggling against her would have been exhausting. Tess spoke up. "Oh, right. This isn't the time to be talking about other people. I only have so much time to play my part." Raviat cried out in alarm. "What is that? What are you planning to do to me?" "It's nothing. You just have to drink this. It won't be a headache, even if I don't know what kind of poison it is. But I hear it's a painless death." "Poison? Absolutely not. What on earth did I do wrong?" Tess grabbed her wrist. "That's right, you didn't do anything wrong, Raviat. You're just unlucky. In this world, things like this just happen sometimes. It's not about my will, but what people call misfortune is. Sometimes you have to part with someone important, lose a position that should have been yours, and sometimes you have to change your very appearance just to survive. Because I was born a twin." Raviat's eyes widened. "Wait a minute. Golden eyes, like the symbol of the imperial family. If this is a story about an abandoned twin, could it be your own experience, Tess?" "No, your Imperial Highness. I wonder how long it's been since I was called that. Unlike you, Raviat, I was surrounded only by people who wanted to get rid of me. All I knew was how to endure hardships like war. Felix awaits the day the Emperor will recognize him. Jacket lives as a beta. In any case, he's the one who will get the throne. The Emperor wants me dead. To escape the Emperor's gaze, I had to live as a priest. No one ever truly cared about me. Even so, I was content just living and remembering my mother. How could even this place be stolen from me? The very land where the only person who ever loved me was gifted to someone else after I found out. I refuse to live in hiding any longer, so for that, I'm sorry. But you must be a sacrifice so that I can claim my place." "No, never." She kicked Tess hard with her foot. Tess stumbled backward in pain. Raviat struggled to her feet. "Tess, you're misunderstanding something. Hurting me won't change anything. I don't know what you've been told, but this is completely meaningless." "No, it's incredibly meaningful. Your death, Raviat, will be Duke Enoch's despair." Hearing her say that stunned Raviat. She went on to say that the seventh prince hopes he becomes so desperate that he will accept the existence of an unrecognized princess. "So just give in to me this one time, just like how I helped Raviat for no reason." Raviat grabbed the pendant just like this. "I told you being by my side was special. You said you wanted to be friends. You were always calling my name," she screamed angrily. "How could you say that to me?" That thing." The two of them stared at each other silently for a moment. Suddenly, Raviat decisively ripped the pendant from her neck, and now the pendant was starting to crack as flames burst out from the fissures. The erupting flames grew larger, leaving Tess completely stunned by the power of that pendant. Someone had offered, "I can give Raviat a gift that will grant her strength. If you are ever in danger, throw this pendant. That way, I'll always know where you are, Raviat. It can also protect you from your enemies." Raviat stared at the pendant, thinking to herself that it was not a weapon. But will it actually work? "This just looks like a crystal stone, right?" Serendina replied. "It is indeed a royal treasure." "Why? I only asked you to show me how to protect myself, so why are you giving me a royal treasure? What if I'm careless and it breaks?" "That's right, that's exactly how you use it. The treasure releases its power when it breaks, so if you're in danger, don't hesitate to throw it." Raviat looked at her without saying a word, and right now, as she faced danger, that very necklace unleashed its power to save her. "I only half believed it back then, but I never imagined it would be this powerful." Raviat sat down, leaning against a pillar. She was surrounded by the flames from the pendant, while Tess had already fled outside. Suddenly, she realized the flames were growing bigger and were getting closer to her. She was terrified. "I should have thrown it farther. At this rate, I'm going to burn to death. I have to hold on for as long as possible." As Teshi said, if the search started early, Akatsuki might already be close by. She remembered Akatsuki once saying, "Don't worry, Raviat, no matter what happens, as long as I am right beside you. Even an incurable disease or a fatal wound can be healed." Raviat thought to herself, "I just need to stay alive." She tried to push through the flames. No matter what, Akatsuki will save me. Outside, after escaping from the fire, Teshi panted wearily. She stared at where the fire was still blazing. What was that just now? She recalled the earlier scene of Raviat throwing the stone and the flames appearing. I never thought an accessory could be a self-defense weapon. The mission was a failure. The vial of poison she was going to force Raviat to drink had fallen and shattered. Tess decided to turn and leave. No, there's no way Raviat can get out of that fire safely. If I just leave things as they are, the goal will be accomplished on its own. She remembered how angry Raviat looked earlier. How could you say that to me? Her expression wavered for a moment. Raviat is just like I was in my childhood. So naive and only worried about the people around her. That's why I wanted to protect Raviat. At some point, I truly wanted to be her friend. But then one day, the vial of poison was presented, and someone said, "I'll give you this poison." Jacques added, "It's colorless, odorless, and painless. It's a type of drug that leaves no trace, so it can't be easily detected." "Can you give this to Raviat?" Teshi asked in confusion. "Why are you asking me to do that? Just pretend I didn't hear a thing. Please don't sacrifice innocent people for the sake of the royal family's feuds." He then stated his condition. "If this succeeds, I will announce the princess's existence to the entire empire," and Tess, who was about to leave, suddenly stopped in her tracks. "You're saying that now, but I heard that was the will of the late empress. Isn't that right? Your twin has already been recognized by the royal family. There won't be another chance like this, so do you still desire the impossible?" The fire was now growing more intense, so Tess decided to turn and leave. "I made my choice back then. I will fulfill my wish by sacrificing innocent people." Suddenly, noises from outside caught her attention. "But why is it so noisy outside?" She turned to look and was stunned to see Akatsuki and the search party had arrived. They had taken down all the guards outside. Tess was shocked. The search party is already here? Everyone gathered after seeing the fire. "It's going to be hard to get through that crowd." She touched her earring. "I'll have to use that method." Immediately, a loud crash echoed as Akatsuki entered and shouted, "The tower's entrance is on the first floor. A small group will stay behind. Everyone else go inside." The search party acknowledged the order. "Yes, sir." Akatsuki led the way, his sharp sword in hand. The fire at the top of the tower, although usually hard to see from here, was now immediately visible from the light it cast. "Akatsuki, this is clearly no ordinary fire, but whatever it is, I hope it's a signal that Raviat is safe." Suddenly, Raviat's figure appeared right before his eyes. Akatsuki yelled, "Raviat!" Her eyes lit up as she ran into his arms, crying, "Akatsuki, are you okay? Are you hurt?" "I'm not hurt at all. I was imprisoned and ran away when I saw the fire. But I was so scared. Please get me out of here." Akatsuki said softly, "Okay, let's go." Suddenly, Akatsuki's sword flashed as he pressed it against her neck without hesitation. "If you truly are Raviat." "Akatsuki, why are you suddenly like this? Don't say my name so casually." Reflected on the polished blade was the true appearance of Tess in disguise. "Where is the real Raviat?" She lowered her head, thinking, "I can't believe it. While I've been wearing these earrings, no one has ever recognized me. It's the reason I was able to disguise myself as a man. For so long in the temple was entirely thanks to the power of these earrings. Back when Tess was a child, a priest gave her an earring and told her, 'From now on, you must always wear this.' The little girl asked why. He explained that it was because the princess would have to live under a different identity in the future. Those earrings are a royal treasure, able to change the wearer's appearance because the princess was born with a bit of divine power, allowing her to serve as a priest in the temple. Otherwise, her resemblance to the late empress would be discovered immediately. Except for when you're with me, you must always live in disguise." Tess stared at the earring, lost in thought. "Even if your appearance changes, I will remain by your side as your escort. I thought it was a flimsy plan and that I'd be discovered someday, but somehow, after all these years, no one ever knew." Pathetic. Tess thought it made sense. Yes, it was only natural, because the temple is now consumed by money and power, a place where only nobles can pray, and theft, gambling, bribery, and taking advantage of women are common. There are countless priests committing such despicable acts, so their greed has blinded them to the truth. If that's the case, then in my future, I'll never be able to meet someone who recognizes my true form, she thought worriedly, staring at Akatsuki. "But still, why did you have to show up right at this moment?" Akatsuki then slowly began to speak. "I don't know how you managed to take on Raviat's form, but you can't fool me. Appearances aren't everything. Compared to her, the person standing before me now feels like a monster. There's just something about you that feels completely off." Akatsuki asked seriously, "Who are you?" "I suppose it's true what Duke Enoch said, that you are very fond of Ravis. It seems deceiving you is quite difficult. I'll surrender. In any case, I'm not an opponent who can win through brute force. You'll treat someone who has surrendered well, won't you?" "That depends on the information you have. Who is the mastermind? How did you use Miss Rose Salome? And tell me where the kidnapped hostage is. Out of all those questions, I only know the answer to one. Ravis is dead." "Ah." Akatsuki flinched at her words as a loud explosion went off. She continued, I was only planning to hold her for a bit and then let her go. Things got out of hand because Ravis started the fire herself. It's nearly impossible to survive a blaze like that. Refusing to believe it, Akatsuki thought to himself, what is she talking about? What happened to Raviat? Just then, Levine rushed over, shouting, Captain, we have to get down immediately. It's too dangerous to go any further up. The fire brigade is here and they'll have the fire out in no time. Akatsuki didn't answer, just called out to Levine in a daze. He immediately shoved Teshi towards him. Take this one for interrogation. She knows exactly what happened here. Ah, yes, I understand. So, are you coming down as well, Captain? Before he could finish, Akatsuki grabbed a bucket of water, dumped it over himself, and said, I'm going in first. I have to check inside for a bit. What? Teshi said, stunned. It's useless. Ravis has already been burned to a crisp. We won't know that until I confirm it with my own eyes. And for your sake, you'd better hope Raviat is still alive. Otherwise, what I'll do to you will be far more painful than anything she ever went through. With that, Akatsuki rushed off. Levin shouted after him anyway. Wait a second, Captain. Damn it, I can't just disobey his order. He quickly grabbed Teshi. Let's go down first. I have a lot of questions for you. Teshi was still in a daze. What? There's no way anyone could survive in a fire like that. How can he be so reckless? Akatsuki searched, calling her name. Raviat, Raviat, please, just give me one more chance. When you wanted to leave. When you told me you had a terrifying dream. I should have taken you more seriously. My own arrogance and carelessness made me think it was just a dream. But unlike a dream, it seems I was the one who put you in danger. But it's not too late. Please, just a single breath is all I ask. If you're alive, I can heal any wound. Even if Raviat has stopped breathing. If there's so much as a strand of hair or a handful of ashes left, I'll use every last bit of my power to save you, Raviat. As he moved forward, he saw a figure in the distance. The person stammered, Who's there? Akatsuki's eyes widened when he heard the voice. Seeing someone approach, Raviat was overjoyed. Could it be Akatsuki? I couldn't believe my eyes, Raviat. Is that really Raviat? No, what am I saying? Is there a fake Raviat or something? Then she stepped forward, wrapping her arms tightly around him. Here, now you know I'm real, right? He just stared at her in a daze, his eyes welling up with tears. Then he hugged her back tightly, trembling. Raviat was surprised by his reaction. Akatsuki. Akatsuki spoke softly. I thought I was too late. I was worried too. I thought my worst nightmare had come true. Even so, I was able to endure it. Because I believed you would come, that you would definitely make everything better. Raviat smiled brightly. Can you hold my hand? Let's get out of here together. Akatsuki immediately reached out to grasp her hand tightly and replied softly, Yeah, Raviat, let's go. By this point, the two had walked out of the building. And as they went, Akatsuki asked, But how were you able to get through that fire completely unscathed? I think it was thanks to a self-defense item I had. The fire was so huge that I was shocked too, but I was perfectly safe. I just wish the person who gave it to me had explained it in more detail. It was suddenly terrifying. Hearing her say that, Akatsuki asked in surprise, Who gave it to you? It's a long story, so I'll tell you later. Suddenly she noticed something outside, and at that moment, Alan ran up and asked anxiously, My lady, are you okay? Any injuries? Don't worry. Look, I'm perfectly fine, aside from being a little tired and thirsty. Please wait just a moment. I'll go get a drink right away. Okay, thank you. What is it? What are you looking for? You know, I wonder what happened to my kidnapper. Not my sister-in-law, the brown-haired one. That person was rescued before you and is now under the Night's Watch. For now, you should just focus on resting. The carriage is on the move. Let's go back and take care of the other matters. Why did Teshi want me to drink poison? I'll have to ask her. Just as Akatsuki said to trust in the magic, I suddenly feel a lot less stressed. Then I'll rest for a little while. Because of me, Raviat went through something so terrifying. Rose Salome's testimony has been secured, but we still don't know how much of it to believe. There's also a rumor that the real culprit was caught at the tower on the outskirts where the victim was found. The search party has so far delayed making any official statement about that person. Do you know what this is? Let's see. This is today's paper. This is the article I read before the incident happened. On Werner's wedding day? Why are you showing this to me? We have captured the culprit of the incident mentioned in the newspaper, and I heard who the mastermind was from the culprit's own lips. It was your name, Your Highness, Crown Prince Jacques. I'm the one behind it? Do you have proof? It's quite troublesome for you to make such accusations without concrete evidence. What evidence could be clearer than the culprit's own confession? Moreover, her identity as a princess has also been confirmed. Didn't you make a deal, Your Highness the Crown Prince, to harm Raviat in exchange for her status? Jacques yelled in anger, Stop it, Akatsuki Enoch! What princess? You dare to question me based on her word alone? If you have no other evidence, then that statement of yours will be considered an insult to the imperial family. Seeing Jacques' violent reaction, Akatsuki said, As I was saying, if there were no other evidence related to this case, the tower has been burned down and the vial of poison was destroyed with it. But if other evidence regarding the accusation against the Crown Prince were to surface, would you acknowledge it then? What other accusation? But when he saw the accusation sheet clearly, he froze in shock. Akatsuki said calmly, Let him know. This is the ledger of the aid the Emperor provided to the enemy during the last war, from the moment the war began. Until just before the war turned in our favor, you were in constant contact with the enemy. They even personally left their seal for me. It doesn't matter if it's true or not. The result is that the contents of this ledger will be examined along with the other nobles. Just then, the knights entered, ready to arrest Jacques at a moment's notice. Akatsuki continued. Until His Majesty the Emperor explains this ledger, the Emperor and the Crown Prince have come to the conclusion that Jacques' authority should be restricted. Does daring to pressure the royal house of Enoch mean you'll break your oath to the crown? That's ridiculous. As a citizen of the Empire, I am only trying to resolve these suspicions. If you are truly innocent, then please clear up these suspicions. Levin took Jacques' arm. Your Highness, this way. Jacques immediately threw his hand off, yelling, "Get off me, I'll walk on my own 2 feet." And so Jacques walked off on his own. Suddenly Werner appeared, and as Jacques passed him, he said, "I'm so disappointed, Werner, after I even listened to all of your worries. Ever since our days at the academy, I was the one who sent you that expensive medicine. How could you do this to me?" Werner replied, I didn't want to take it this far, but I'm sorry." "All right, so that's your answer. You've changed, Werner." Jacques recalled an image of the two of them as children and thought, "That's why I'll make sure you go back to the way you were, my plan from now on." That evening, it turned out the confinement was more lenient than I thought. The evidence was too clear to be denied. Akatsuki, walking behind, replied, "You shouldn't have had another plan. But anyway, what you received from Prince Felix was very helpful. A great deal. The culprit in the kidnapping case has remained silent this whole time." The gist of the story and their shared purpose were confirmed through Raviat's testimony. Akatsuki looked at Teshi's face and thought to himself, the offer to restore her status as a princess, that could only have come from the Emperor or the Crown Prince. The person behind it all has pretty much been identified, but the interrogation continues because we need a confession. That's obviously why she's staying silent. Isn't her loyalty to the royal family because she believes they will keep their promise regarding the throne? You can think whatever you want, just as long as you keep your mouth shut tight. I know the source of this can't be linked to the royal family, but if you think I'm going to act like a gentleman, that's a big mistake. Teshi flinched and her eyes flew open, staring at the sharp blade pointed right at her. Akatsuki held the sword tightly in his hand. If keeping a secret for a royal family that doesn't even acknowledge you is what's important. Are you prepared to do this? She thought to herself. Just for the crime of touching Raviat, I've heard so many things about Akatsuki, what he did to the new official, and what's more, I was caught right at the scene trying to harm Raviat. I have to be prepared for even worse treatment. Akatsuki suddenly swung his sword down with all his might, but it seems you are a more valuable person than you think. Teshi was surprised and raised both her hands, her eyes wide as she looked at the spot where her ropes had been sliced through. Akatsuki added, "At least to your family. Slide." Phillips rushed in, shouting loudly, "Phillips! Phillips! Why are you here? You're in a place like this. How can you just sit there? Isn't this incredibly serious? Are you hurt anywhere?" Teshi suddenly raised her hand high and slapped Felix hard across the face. "You fool. What were you thinking trying to save me? Proving that everything is connected to the royal family. You could have secured it if you had just waited a little longer. Mother's will. That's what I'm talking about. Why couldn't you just wait a little longer? What do you think I've been fighting in this war for?" Akatsuki suddenly spoke up, cutting off their conversation. "As you can see, the prince's sister is perfectly safe. There isn't a single scratch on her, so Prince, please keep your promise." Felix turned and replied, "I know. I'll provide the evidence that the Emperor started the war. On our way back, we eliminated the enemy remnants and captured 10 of them with great difficulty. So please forgive Teshi." Akatsuki left the cell with Werner, adding as they walked down the hallway that the evidence had been handed over and the investigations so far have succeeded in temporarily freezing the royal authority. That was quite a trade. If you're aiming for the throne, it's very difficult to give up that document. His Highness the Prince seemed afraid we would harm the princess. When I think of Raviat, I've wanted to do that 100,000 times. Werner asked, "She's still not doing well, is she?" Akatsuki thought pensively for a moment, then replied, "That's right. Ever since leaving that tower, Raviat has been constantly trapped in nightmares." Suddenly, there was a mournful sigh. Raviat walked barefoot on the cold ground, her face full of anxiety and unease, calling out for Akatsuki. "I'm in so much pain. My chest feels tight. My throat feels like it's on fire. It's so hard to breathe. When I close my eyes, that moment keeps replaying in my head, not touching my lips to even a single drop. The moment I saw the colorless, odorless poison. My instinct screamed the same thing. Do not drink that poison." And in an instant, an unknown past surges up, stopping me in my tracks. I don't want to know. Stop following me. Someone, anyone, save me, please." In her dream, she was being submerged by a current of water. Suddenly, a hand reached out and called loudly, "Raviat." He grabbed her hand. "Are you awake now? I'm here." She hesitantly called out to Akatsuki, "I can't tell what's a dream and what's real anymore. I can't be sure of anything. So, please just hold me for a moment. Holding your hand, Akatsuki, makes me feel at peace. You're my center of gravity." He then leaned down and gently kissed her forehead. Raviat closed her eyes to receive the kiss, thinking, "My very breath, you are the one who helps me survive." Akatsuki blushed shyly, then he placed another kiss on her lips. Akatsuki suddenly froze, looking painfully at the bruise on Raviat's chest. He said, "I'll heal you." He wrapped his arms around her waist, lowering his head to kiss her chest. Raviat blushed with embarrassment. She whispered, "Today, just being by my side isn't enough." Raviat then raised her hand to take his. Akatsuki called out in surprise, "Raviat?" Her face flushed red as she lowered her head and continued, "Make me feel more. Not because of your healing ability, but because I love being with you. I wish everything I'm feeling would just pour into you. Not right now. I have to think about Raviat's condition, and I don't want to hurt you. Akatsuki, the thing I hate most in this world is the idea that I can't do anything just because I'm weak and sick." She wrapped her arms around his neck and pulled him down onto the bed. "Plus, you'll make sure it doesn't hurt." Akatsuki's face flushed red, and after a moment of hesitation, he slid his arms around Raviat, holding her tightly. "Ah, you have no idea how long I've been holding back." "Ha, I know you have in moments like this, and that's precisely why I'm doing this. I always know just how much you cherish me." Then, joyous laughter echoed through the room. Akatsuki held Raviat close as they lay on the bed together. "Why the sudden laughter?" Raviat replied happily, "I thought I knew everything there was to know about you, but I learned something new today. I never thought Akatsuki could make a face like that." Let's see. How should I describe it?" Raviat continued, "Because you love me so much." She lay still on the bed, her breath suddenly hitching as Akatsuki turned and moved on top of her. He immediately pressed a kiss to her lips. Raviat wrapped her arms around his neck, looking up at him as she panted. Her intense gaze made Akatsuki's face flush. She raised a finger to his lips. "Because you love me so much. You look like you're going crazy with desire for me." Seeing the expression on his face, she smiled, and Akatsuki kissed her again. "What? I mean, you're not wrong, but..." "Wait, hold on, Akatsuki. We can't do any more today. I'll seriously die." He squeezed his eyes shut, thinking to himself, "What am I supposed to do when you say such adorable things? I was just going for a goodnight kiss. Sleep well, Raviat." You too, Akatsuki." And with that, he pulled her into his embrace, and Raviat snuggled against his chest. She quickly drifted off to sleep. Akatsuki placed one more kiss on her forehead. "Now, get some deep sleep." He suddenly thought, is Raviat being tormented by nightmares? When did these dreams, the kind that fade once war begins, start to plague her in reality? It's the image of my own death. I can only imagine how horrible it must feel for Raviat when I actually die. It's truly just a nightmare. He remembered Raviat's anxious words. This time everything will be okay. This time, he mused to himself, I could have just brushed it off as something she said without any special meaning. But for some reason, I had a strange feeling in that moment. That's why, the very next day, I went to my father's study. I wanted to see the records left behind by the previous generations of House Enoch. Duke Enoch asked, "Why are you suddenly looking for those? You'll get to see them when you inherit the title anyway." Akatsuki answered, "I can't wait that long. I need them immediately." The records of the heads who used the final reason. Duke Enoch frowned, then slammed his hand on the desk and yelled, "No such records exist. Why are you concerned with that? There is no reason you should ever have to use it." Akatsuki replied quickly and seriously, "It's for Raviat." "What?" Akatsuki continued, "Raviat has been having strange dreams lately, and I believe they're connected to my ability. I hope that's all it is, but if it's not, I need to know for certain. What exactly is the final reason of Enoch?" The Duke stared thoughtfully at his son. "I don't know the exact details myself. In the end, the heads who used the reason burned their own records. As for why they did that, those who remained could never know. However, my guess is that there is one diary left. Why did I remain silent about the ultimate ability? You'll understand when you read this. This diary holds the secret to that power." Akatsuki read the contents intently. He was startled as he looked at the diary, which was covered in splotchy bloodstains. "This is? In the spring of my 54th year, I was designated as the official successor of the Enoch family. I began to have a strange dream. In it, I was holding the hand of a woman who was slowly dying. Even though it was the first time I'd ever seen her face, at that moment I felt such a deep sense of longing and regret. I said in the dream, 'I won't let you die like this. Let's start over, no matter how many times it takes.'" The words from the diary flowed continuously into Akatsuki's mind. "On my 16th birthday, I dreamed of a woman again, her face more youthful than before. She spent happy days with me, but in the dream, I was overcome with worry for her safety. So I began to confine her. Once again, the image of her lying still on his lap as a fierce fire erupted flashed before him, and once again he burst into tears, gripping her hand tightly. I woke up from a scene just like the first dream, and even after waking, I couldn't move for some time, overwhelmed by sorrow. What on earth was that dream that made my heart ache as if it were on fire? At the shrine, the priests officiated a ceremony in the autumn of my 58th year, the engagement party. I will never forget this day for as long as I live. The moment the girl from my dreams appeared right before my eyes. The moment our eyes met, I realized. The memories came flooding back. It wasn't a dream. That meeting, and even that death, were all memories that I had personally seen and heard. In the winter of my 28th year, my fiancée died. 15 years passed after that. During that time, I had countless dreams. In one dream, I would lose her, and in another, I would lose her again, even though we weren't yet married. And in those repeating visions, I never once hesitated to bring my wife back to life. The ultimate ability of the Enoch family. The power to trade your own life to resurrect the one you love. Even after waking from the dream, the chest pain and feverish feeling continued. It was a fraction of the pain I had endured throughout my past life. With this ability, the resurrected person loses their memories, and the user of this ability goes mad and lives a short life, leaving no records behind. To this day, there is no precise information about it. Now you understand. If this were to be made public, they would use the family's mental stability as a pretext, and even the legitimacy of the successor would be questioned, as the Enoch family is often kept in check by the royals. I do not wish to leave such an excuse behind. I leave this diary for the poor Enoch, who will one day be consumed by the same nightmare as me. This fate will repeat itself if the cause of the initial death is not prevented. Just as I saved my wife had to repeat her death over and over. Remember this, our ability is not a blessing from the gods, but a curse. Now then, let this be the very last time, my wife. I no longer have the strength to witness your death even one more time. This is how it should have been from the very beginning. When you use the power to revive someone, time also rewinds. At that moment, Duke Enoch said, I'm not sure if it was because the diary's author had gone mad or if it was a side effect of the power. However, it is said, that lineage's predictions were so good they were almost prophetic. If this is true, then anyone in the Enoch family would want to save their loved ones. That's why I said, be careful when choosing your partner. Akatsuki, closing the diary in her hand, replied, I don't regret choosing Raviat at all, but if I use my power, I'll have a nightmare. Raviat is the one who has nightmares, not me. If that's the case, then the contents of this diary have nothing to do with us. Why do I feel so anxious? Back in the present, Akatsuki hugged Raviat tightly and thought to herself, besides, I have always wanted to save Raviat's life, but my power isn't about bringing Raviat back to life. If it's a power that draws the curse, even so, I wouldn't hesitate. A day later, inside the greenhouse, Serendina asked cheerfully, It's been a while, Raviat. How have you been? Thankfully, I've recovered a lot. I've been drinking all sorts of medicine for weeks on end, Serendina said. In my eyes, it seems you've gotten healthier for another reason. Huh? What do you mean? You're a walking miracle, Raviat. It's because you spend every night with Duke Enoch, isn't it? Raviat was startled, her face immediately turning bright red. How could you? Serendina replied nonchalantly, the Rose Salome estate is in an uproar right now. Raviat will soon become the Duchess. Raviat raised a hand to her chin, thinking, I didn't expect that there would be rumors about us sleeping together in the mansion. It's true that after spending the night with Akatsuki, my health has improved in a strange way. The number of nightmares has also decreased, and even when memories return, I recover quickly. Raviat shyly changed the subject. Anyway, shall we begin? Let's look for clues in the past. Serendina chuckled and replied, Oh my, it's so nice to see you being so enthusiastic, Raviat. Raviat thought to herself, last time, thanks to the magic tool, I was perfectly fine. No matter what, I have to repay her. My condition is good these days. I wonder if I can come up with anything useful. Suddenly, the sound of hurried footsteps approached. Wait a minute, don't overexert yourself. What is this situation? Caleb stopped short, staring at the two of them. Raviat panicked, grabbing Caleb's arm to pull him back. What is this all about? That person is the princess of the Hmong kingdom. Serendina smiled cheerfully. Oh, my brother. I've been staying at this villa for weeks, and I finally get to see you. Raviat stared blankly at the two of them. Serendina spoke again. Protecting your benefactor is all well and good, but doesn't bothering me go against your duty? Let's see. Your mission right now is to take the young lady to a safe place as a knight. Raviat thought, wait a minute, how do they know each other? And she even called him brother? Princess Serendina calling Caleb that. Could it be that Caleb is a prince? Serendina said, you two already know each other, but I'll introduce him again. This is the prince of the Hmong kingdom and my older brother, Caleb. When you first met Raviat, you said you saw a memory of my brother being in danger, right? Thanks to that, I was able to suppress the rebel faction, and he's been safe ever since. So that's how it was. Caleb, oh no, your highness. Please, just address me as you normally do. My lady, I owe my life to you. I couldn't possibly be addressed so. Feeling awkward around the person who saved your life? So, is it because I'm your savior that you became a knight for my house? Yes, you could say that. I have been protecting you steadfastly this whole time. Absolutely. Lying about napping, drinking, and using divine power. I don't know about the other things, but ultimately, it wasn't intentional. Most of the city knights of the Akatsuki nation can use their divine powers. The temple in this empire is something else, choosing city knights who lack judgment and are of unusually poor quality. They only open the temple to nobles and above, using divine power, money, and authority so blatantly. The main culprit who kidnapped you was a priest too, right? Well, she was originally a princess, but that's just how it looked on the surface. She was incited to kidnap and poison you on the condition that it would serve her own interests. Actually, I tried to investigate it on my own too. Since the security couldn't be breached, I can understand why they used Rose Salome. If they truly intended to kill you, they would have done it right after the kidnapping. But why did they insist on making you drink a potion? I'm curious about this too, but the fire destroyed the evidence. If only we had secured that potion bottle, it would have been a crucial clue. Serendina stared thoughtfully at Raviat, then suddenly looked at Caleb and said, It seems my brother has gotten quite attached to this place, and this person has grown fond of you, huh? You're so worried about your savior's well-being that you'd even try to stop me? Raviat looked at the two of them, bewildered. I know you don't want to be interrupted. Raviat forced a laugh as she looked at them. Now, I get why they call me a witch, but I'll just let it go. Now I see why. Raviat, have you ever considered living abroad? I mean, if you were to break up with your fiancé. Raviat flinched, breaking into a sweat as she looked at her. Caleb immediately yelled, What are you talking about? I was just kidding. Let's not dig into the past today. Let's look into something else. So, what was in that potion from earlier? Can you tell me? What was the potion like that the priest tried to make you drink? That potion wasn't anything special. It was transparent and had the same consistency as water. Nothing changed when it fell to the ground, but the moment I saw it, I knew I absolutely could not drink it. The feeling was worse than the fear of death itself. Seeing her pale face, Caleb called out worriedly, Milady. Suddenly she remembered, I saw myself holding the vial of poison, opening it, raising it, and drinking it all. If you drink that, your heart feels like it's on fire and you can't breathe. It's a nauseating feeling, like your insides are about to spill out. And finally, you vomit blood. A sudden scream rang out as Serendina and Caleb saw Raviat in distress. Her body was trembling uncontrollably. I told you we should stop here. At this rate, Milady is going to collapse. Suddenly, Caleb's gaze froze on his sister. Serendina, with a furious expression, shouted, Brother, I'm not certain, but I think I found a lead. I have to go meet the priests of the Hmong kingdom immediately. Raviat struggled to ask, What is it? Shouldn't I know too? There were two types of potions used in this incident. The one that Rose Salome drank, and the one Raviat saw. I thought they were the same type, but they're completely different. Rose Salome drank a black potion. I heard it only takes effect once a certain condition is met. Turning someone into a puppet is more like an ability than a poison, even if it was not done the proper way. But it is not something that is impossible to create. However, the transparent potion that Raviat saw is different, if I am not mistaken. Then it is something that should not exist in this world. I will try to find out as soon as possible. After that, Serendina hastily got into her carriage and left. Caleb escorted Raviat back to her room. On the way, Caleb said, If Serendina is at that level, then it is not something to worry about. For now, just be careful when you meet other people. Yeah, I will have to be. When you think about Rose Salome, you cannot trust anyone. She was lost in thought for a moment, and he suddenly pinched her cheek teasingly. What is with that expression? A look like that does not suit you, milady. Raviat shouted angrily. What was that for? Just because you are my savior, you think this is okay? That was then, and this is now. Suddenly, Akan walked up and called out to Raviat, Where have you been? I could not find you anywhere. Sorry, I just went to meet the princess for a moment. I was on my way to find you anyway. Caleb watched blankly as Raviat ran off. He smiled quietly, hiding his disappointment. Caleb recalled what Serendina had asked Raviat before. Have you ever considered living abroad? Or maybe breaking off your engagement? Caleb thought to himself, there is no way that is ever happening. There is only one person who can make Serendina wear an expression like that. Scene change. Jacques was sitting pensively when he heard a noise outside. He said, Come in. No matter what you ask, I have nothing to say. Duke Enoch Werner pushed the door open and said, Akatsuki is not coming today. Jacques shot up from his seat upon hearing Werner's voice. Talk with me for a moment, Jacques. What is it? You have refused all my requests until now. Would you like some tea? Or maybe some wine? Even though I am imprisoned, the guards here are pretty friendly. Werner shouted in frustration. Jacques, you are acting like this is a vacation. Why are you even here? Werner hesitated and fell silent. After a moment, Werner asked, Can you tell me why you did that during the last incident? Raviat has been suffering from nightmares since the wedding was cancelled. Rose Salome is avoiding me out of shame, and the royal palace is in an uproar. Because of His Majesty's condition, the conflict between the prince's faction and the crown prince's faction is at its peak. But the most difficult thing in this situation is your silence about your involvement. We were best friends. Please, just explain so I can understand you. Jacques walked closer and said, Is that right? You have had it so hard? That is good to hear, Werner. I hope you become even more miserable. In a flashback to their childhood, Werner was crying his eyes out, saying, Raviat is in so much pain. It has been 3 days and her fever will not go down. Is it because I have not been praying hard enough? You love your sister that much? I used to feel the same way, but not anymore. Do not cry, Werner. If your prayers are not enough, I will join you. Werner said, Thank you, thank you. You are really the best friend I could ask for. Jacques looked at Werner with a strange smile. Even though I was always by his side, I was only ever a friend. Still, I thought that was okay. Werner will definitely come running to me when he's in trouble, even if he becomes the Marquis. Retiring is still the better option. You'll help me with that later, won't you? I don't have many herbs I want Raviat to take, and the Empire can't increase the import schedule. I'd be flustered if I were with my fiancé. I have no idea what I'm thinking or what I should do. Haven't you heard many proposals already? Give me some advice. Fine. I'll help you with anything. You won't escape my clutches. The life of Werner needs a certain amount of hardship. That's the only way he'll come crying to me. Back in the present, Jacques asked, You said you'd make me understand, right? Then I'll tell you everything just as you wish. Can you guess why I did that? The truth is, your sister's condition getting worse is a bigger deal than canceling a wedding and being separated from her fiancé. Everything I planned to do was right because I don't want you to marry her. What? What do you mean by that, Jacques? Don't tell me you like Rose Salome? Jacques glanced at Werner, then suddenly burst out laughing. I knew it. In any case, I didn't think you'd be able to understand correctly. What? Why are you laughing? It's better if you don't know. Thanks to that, I've made up my mind. Well, I'm leaving now, Werner stammered. Who said you could go? The door suddenly burst open, and hurried footsteps entered. Jacques said, didn't I mention it earlier? The guards here are very friendly. 3 guards immediately moved forward and restrained Werner. Werner shouted, what kind of game is this? Let me go, Jacques. I don't know what you're planning, but stop it. A handkerchief soaked with a sleeping drug was suddenly pressed against Werner's face. Jacques tossed the empty vial aside and said cheerfully, Werner is sleeping so soundly. When you open your eyes again, your answer will have changed. Meanwhile, in the hallway, Ravi called out, Akatsuki, are you mad that I went out on my own earlier? Akatsuki replied, no, he's stationed men at all the entrances and along the walls of the mansion anyway, and changes the passwords periodically so a similar incident won't happen at Werner's wedding, and so the guards can check on each other. I didn't think he'd go that far, so it's fine. You really thought of everything, huh? But why do you seem so strangely out of sorts? I'm not out of sorts, but I want to wipe your cheek, Raviat. Huh? Is something on it? Oh, don't tell me it's this cheek. Could it be that you're jealous, Akatsuki? Akatsuki immediately blushed, pressing his lips together in silence. Then, flustered, he turned to leave. I'm not jealous. I just thought it was a bit excessive. A knight pinching a young lady's cheek, no matter how close they are, is rather improper. Oh, please, what's the big deal about a cheek touch? Akatsuki does way more incredible things with me. Are you jealous of everyone who touches me? Is there someone else? Jenny? It's not Alan, is it? Akatsuki, blushing helplessly, asked. Are we really still on this topic? He recalled the other men from her past. You could call them ex-boyfriends, and bringing them up wouldn't do Raviat any good. Hey, stop talking about that. Just then, Levin ran up breathlessly. Akatsuki, what's wrong? This is urgent. This is a message from the knight in charge of the Imperial Palace. Crown Prince Jacques has escaped the palace and is on the run. Seeing their shocked faces, Levin hesitated. Also, Sir Werner is being held hostage. Akatsuki roared in anger. I gave a clear order to guard the Imperial Palace thoroughly. How could they even let them get to Werner? Levin stuttered. That is. Werner said he went to visit the detached palace by himself. It seems he went to persuade the Crown Prince, and then it looks like the knights were bribed. Akatsuki asked, could he have used Lady Rose Salome like last time? Yes, just like that time. A few days ago, the Crown Prince told me to bring a goddess statue from his room. He came under the pretext of praying for repentance after running away. We searched the room, and the goddess statue was broken. We only found an unknown vial nearby. It seems he hid the potion in the statue to bring it in, and his face paled when he saw it. Raviat walked over and snatched the vial. She threw it on the floor and crushed it with her foot. Seeing her tremble, Akatsuki held her and asked worriedly, Raviat, are you okay? Why would you do that? It's horrible. Just looking at this vial makes me sick. In a certain past, Rose Salome betrayed me with the face of a villainess straight out of a novel, but that was nothing. In another past, my parents, followed by Alan, my tutor, and Jenny, the people I trusted and loved, betrayed me. And in the end, I finally realized that behind it all was a black potion, likely belonging to the royal family. If you drink even one drop of that potion, you become a puppet of the royal family, and the duration of the effect varies depending on the person, but it allows them to be controlled regardless of their own will, and can even maximize their abilities. The worst part is that it makes it impossible to trust anyone. Rose Salome has a strong spirit, so she recovered quickly, but the knights who were brainwashed this time are different. They can be used as disposable pawns. If you're not decisive from the start, you'll have a very hard time. I understand. I'll relay this to the search party. Thank you. Akatsuki, and when you're looking for my brother, could you investigate the temple? Why the temple? The evil deeds and raising Teshi, that was the temple too, and the crown prince used a goddess statue to bring the potion in. Plus, we've been mediating between the royal family and Enoch for a long time. There's an alliance that benefits the royal family. And then there are the suspicious things Caleb mentioned about the temple. Perhaps the temple and the royal family are colluding with each other. Akatsuki agreed. I'll look into it. Because Raviat's premonitions were always accurate, he turned to Levin and gave an order. The order is to search from the temple to the crown prince's residence and distribute wanted posters on the capital's carriages. But we can't get into the temple because of the armed knights. That's not a problem. I'll personally command the operation on site. Raviat called out worriedly, Akatsuki, don't worry. I will bring Werner back safely, no matter what it takes. Raviat flinched as if she just remembered something. She grabbed his hand. Don't say that, no matter what it takes. That phrase again? He thought to himself. Besides, I know Raviat doesn't want me to act recklessly like someone with nothing to lose, just like that ship in the diary. Could I have been caught up in that curse just by reading those forbidden records? Why do I feel so? He composed himself and hugged Raviat. I'm sorry. Let me rephrase that. Werner and I will both come back safely, and I have a favor to ask you. When I return, I want to ask you something. Can you promise to answer honestly? Can't you ask me now? I'm sorry. I'm just acting this way because I'm scared. I need to brace myself. I'll do my absolute best. I heard this is the most secure room in the mansion. If you lock it from the inside, it can't be forced open from the outside. So make sure you lock it securely. Even if I can't find the crown prince, I'll come check on you once every half a day. Absolutely do not open the door for anyone but me. Like Raviat said, if the black medicine is a power of the royal family, then at least I won't be affected by it. I thought the royal family couldn't directly harm Enoch, so does that oath apply to their minds too? Even if everyone else changes or betrays me, only Akatsuki has never done so. I know, be careful and come back safe, Raviat. I will return. Later that night, a carriage stopped in front of the temple gate. A young man in a cloak approached the priest, who said, "Come in." The priest then held up a small white box with 2 hands. As I said before, this is the item that will help you. It is a precious item, so keep it safe. That person quickly took the box. I don't know if I'll need to use this, but I will take it for now. Then, this way. He revealed a scar on his face and said, "I don't need a guide. This is a place I know very well." He glanced up at the temple. In any case, it's been a while since I've been home. He was Cade's. A loud shout echoed from inside the temple. What is the meaning of this insolence? Alan strode confidently into the temple, leading his squad of knights. A priest shouted, entering the temple fully armed, "You don't even have proper permission to be here. The crown prince and his group are on the run. I came here after receiving a tip that he was here. We don't have time, so refer to this document for the details." The priest took the scroll and slowly unrolled it. An official order? Isn't this something that can be easily forged? As many as you want? How can a mere knight take responsibility for acting without any concrete evidence? Akatsuki appeared and stepped forward, saying, "This is my command. You may do as you please." The priest was startled and frightened upon seeing Akatsuki. I mean, what if the crown prince really isn't here? The knights then began searching from outside the temple to the area around the goddess statue. A knight suddenly pulled back a curtain, revealing a strange door, and then shouted, "Over here! This door is locked!" After a moment, the door was flung open, and Jacques spoke up. "Treading into a sacred place with your filthy feet, are you ready for your punishment? You speak as if you're a god, but now you're a suspect in a kidnapping and a fugitive. This is not an ideal situation. Now stop, surrender, and return Marquis Werner." "Return him? Don't be ridiculous. Werner's place is by my side." Suddenly, soldiers with vacant expressions appeared, shielding Jacques. Akatsuki thought to himself, most of these are knights from House Enoch. Their faces are familiar, yet so strange. I wonder if this is how Raviat felt when he was kidnapped by his sister-in-law. Jacques declared, "I'll make you regret following me all the way here. Kill every last one of them for me." The soldiers, their faces full of bloodlust, immediately charged at Akatsuki. Akatsuki frowned and fell back into a defensive stance, quickly striking one of them on the head. As Akatsuki parried, he announced that these men were hypnotized and being controlled, so not to panic because of their familiar faces. Just stun them or knock them unconscious. The knights acknowledged the order and immediately charged forward to do as he said. Afterward, the sound of clashing weapons echoed continuously as Alan and Akatsuki swiftly took down Jacques' men. They were all sprawled on the floor. Jacques helped Werner sit up. As expected, ordinary knights can't get very far. If only I had a monster like Rose Salome. Akatsuki rushed over. "Wait, where do you think you're going?" Suddenly, the whistle of a sword slash made Akatsuki freeze. He looked down and saw a gash across his side. He stared at the soldier in shock, thinking, how is he even holding a sword? I'm sure I hit his arm hard enough to knock him out. Jacques smirked contemptuously. "You didn't think you subdued them that easily, did you? The royal family's miracle pushes them beyond their physical limits. They won't stop unless you kill every last one of them, right? Damn it, I don't have time for this." Meanwhile, Raviat closed her book with a sigh. I thought reading something would make time fly by. But I couldn't focus on a single word. I wonder what Akatsuki is doing right now. I wish my memories were a bit more precise, so I could predict the Crown Prince's actions. Still, I came back to this life with the least amount of memories. So much has already changed. I prevented the carriage accident that would have killed the Enochs. Akatsuki ended the war and returned early. The relationship between my sister Rose Salome and my brother has improved, and even though I tried to push Akatsuki away, we ended up falling in love, a fate I never had in any other life. Meeting Serendina was also a huge variable. With the information Serendina is about to uncover, I just hope we can change the coming outcome. She turned her head to look at the statue of the goddess. If God truly exists, then to be honest, even though I've come to the temple so often, I admit I've never truly prayed before. A god who let this temple fall into such a state probably doesn't have much to say, right? But even so, please, just for today, listen to my wish. She prayed with all her heart. Please, let Akatsuki return to my side safely. Suddenly, she heard footsteps, followed by a knock on the door. She rushed to the door. Who is it? The figure standing outside looked just like Akatsuki. "It's me, Akatsuki. Raviat, can you open the door?" At that moment, Akatsuki was still fighting the hypnotized knights. Blood splattered everywhere as the knights collapsed, and Akatsuki gasped for breath. He thought to himself, at this rate, this will never end. No matter how badly they're injured, they won't go down. And it was true. That power forced them back to their feet to continue wielding their swords, despite their wounds. If I want to defeat them, do I really have to take their lives? Just then, Jacques laughed. It would be much easier to just kill them all. You're thinking it too, aren't you? See? You pretend to be so righteous, but in the end, you'll resort to the same methods as me, won't you? Never. Who would want to become a despicable person? Like you. Jacques spread his arms wide, and the knights rose again, continuing their advance on Akatsuki. Is that so? Then you'll spend your whole life being played for a fool, meaning you'll end up with nothing at all. Jacques' power coiled around the tip of Akatsuki's sword, making it impossible for him to control the blade. Suddenly, another surge of power shot forward. It blocked the knight charging at Akatsuki, who was stunned by the appearance of that power. One by one, the knights collapsed, much to the surprise of Alan and everyone else. Jacques' jaw dropped as he mouthed, "What? The effects of the drug should not have worn off yet. It feels like someone is interfering with my power. Could it be?" Just then, Felix entered and placed his sword against the priest's neck, saying, "The royal family's obsession with this power, it truly gives me the creeps." Akatsuki glanced back and said, "You certainly took your sweet time, Your Highness. I guess there was no other way." Normally, figuring out the trick to using this power is supposed to be difficult. At the same time, Felix shoved the priest to the ground. The crown prince roared in fury. "Felix, you traitor! How dare you betray the will of the royal family and side with them? It is not betrayal, it is taking control." Jacques angrily raised his hand to unleash his power, and fierce golden rays of light erupted. "Do you think you can stop me? A half-blood who cannot even use this power properly." Felix replied, "That is right. Even with this power, all I can do is create an opening. But for me, that is more than enough." While the crown prince was distracted, a figure behind him launched himself into the air. Akatsuki's eyes blazed with fury as he mercilessly slashed down, giving the crown prince no time to react. Fresh blood splattered as the glasses on Jacques' face clattered to the floor. Scene change. Alan asked gently, "Mr. Werner, are you all right?" Werner's eyes fluttered open as he sat up clutching his head, dazedly asking, "Huh? What happened?" "The last thing I remember, I was with Jacques," Alan replied with a smile. "First, we are taking you to the manor. You need to see a doctor." "Wait, hold on, what about Raviat? Is Raviat safe?" Not knowing what had transpired, he was reassured by Alan. "Akatsuki has already returned to where Miss Raviat is, so please do not worry. While we were searching for you, Mr. Werner, we heard that Raviat had taken refuge somewhere safe." Werner finally breathed a sigh of relief. "Is that so? Thank goodness." Meanwhile, Jacques was being led away by the knights, his eyes glinting with calculation. He thought to himself, "It is a shame, but I have stalled for long enough, so this will do. I still have one last card up my sleeve." Meanwhile, a wooden carriage was making its way down a snow-covered road. Inside were Raviat and Akash. Raviat wondered to herself, "Where in the world are we going? Akash seemed so frantic earlier, I just went along with him." Akash had gripped her shoulders, his face grim, and said, "Raviat, the plan has gone wrong. We need to get out of here now." "What? But..." Before she could finish, Akatsuki cut her off. "There is no time. Hurry up! If we stay, everyone here will get hurt too." Raviat reached up and pulled back her hood. He did not explain anything else after that, which scared me a little. This is the first time I have ever seen Akatsuki look so anxious. "Raviat, are you thirsty? You should have something to drink." Akatsuki's voice cut through her thoughts. Raviat quickly replied, "Huh? No, I am fine. Do not say that. Just have a little. It would be a huge problem if you collapsed from dehydration in a place like this." Raviat reluctantly took it from Akatsuki's hand. "All right, I get it. I will drink it, okay?" She thought to herself, "What is going on with Akatsuki? He's never forced me like this before." Her eyes suddenly shot open. "What is this? The taste of this water." Akatsuki quickly covered her mouth. "Don't spit it out. Do you have any idea how precious this water is?" Raviat was suffocating, wondering in a panic, "What is this? Why is Akatsuki suddenly acting like this?" She then saw the gold earring he was wearing, and she realized with a start, isn't that the earring Tess wore when she was disguised as a man? Raviat used every ounce of her strength to push that guy away, screaming at the same time, "Let me go! You're not Akatsuki, are you?" At this point, there's no way she wouldn't have noticed. Even so, having to pretend to be that brat is disgusting. The true form of Cade Connie appeared. "How do you like it? You wrote me letters before because you wanted to meet me. What nonsense are you spouting? I have never written a letter to someone like you." In all this time, I could count the people I've exchanged letters with on one hand, aside from Akatsuki and my sister Rose Salome. Could it be Cade Connie? Why are you here? You were clearly exiled abroad. Ah, a special pardon is coming soon. Because a bloodline will be needed to fill the position of heir to the Duke of Enoch. What are you talking about? Akatsuki is here. With Akatsuki here, how could the successor's position be empty? It's because of you, Raviat Rose Salome. Akatsuki will die to save you. Those words made Raviat freeze in place. Do you know what you just drank? A potion that has been secretly passed down in the temple since ancient times. It is what the priest cannot purify with divine power, a concoction that gathers and condenses fragments of filth and pain. It is a curse that has lain dormant for a long time. If a human drinks it, their immune system will slowly weaken, and they will suffer from extreme pain, constantly in a frail state, and their mind will never be clear. In other words, they die abandoned by the gods. So now, even if you get hurt, you can't be healed, not by a priest, and not even by Akatsuki. I wonder what kind of face that brat will make when he can't use his power on someone so important to him. If you die, that kid will have no choice but to play his final card. What have you been talking about this whole time? And what is this final card? You don't know? The ultimate power. For the one you love, you can sacrifice your own life, and even bring a corpse back to life. Raviat's eyes widened, completely stunned. It felt like her heart was being squeezed, her hands clenching the fabric of her dress. Don't lie. Akatsuki once said that you're good at slander and lying. Did that brat really say that? If you don't believe me, feel free to find out for yourself. Raviat immediately shot to her feet and screamed, "Don't you touch me! There's nothing to be afraid of. If you're brought back to life, I might just become your fiancé. That is the most disgusting thing I have ever heard in my entire life. Who would want to be your fiancé?" As she spoke, she reached for the carriage door. Raviat jumped out of the carriage without a second thought, shocking Cade. "What the hell do you think you're doing? If only you would become my fiancé." Before he could finish his sentence, Raviat shouted in fury, "I'd rather die," she added, flipping him the bird before disappearing into the snowy forest. She looked back at the distant carriage and thought to herself, "I seriously almost died. It's a good thing I landed in a huge pile of snow." Suddenly, Raviat cried out in pain, covering her mouth as red blood stained her hand. Could it be because of that vial from earlier? No, the words of a lowlife like him can't possibly be true. It's clearly a trick to deceive me, the power to exchange one's own life to save another. Akatsuki never said that. Suddenly, a person in a long cloak walked up to Raviat. "Oh my. How did Connie manage to leave this one still conscious?" Raviat stammered in shock. Who are you?" "Oh, that bloodstain. It seems you drank the right vial after all." Raviat's eyes widened in horror. "During the repeating timelines, whenever I died before Akatsuki, there was always someone watching us, hiding in the snow in this very forest. The priest watched us and laughed, as tears streamed down Akatsuki's cheeks while he knelt beside Raviat's blood-soaked body. He said quietly, "I'm sorry, Raviat. You can call me selfish if you want, but no matter what happens. Raviat, I hope you stay alive." Akatsuki leaned down and placed a kiss on Raviat's lips, and immediately a blinding light erupted. "And when I opened my eyes again, your body, as cold as snow, had collapsed in front of me. Seeing you had taken all of my wounds onto yourself, I instinctively had no choice but to realize it. Why did you save me, Akatsuki? I don't want to live without you either. If I could go back, I really want to see you one more time." The blinding light shone again, and a magic circle appeared at their feet, and what appeared below was an image of a young Akatsuki and Raviat smiling. Back in the present, the priest pulled out a dagger. If Enoch disappears, the only thing in the Empire possessing divine power will be the temple. The royal family will have no reason to exist anyway, and they will eventually be devoured by the temple. Then, at some point, this kingdom will be destroyed, and we will witness the birth of the Holy Kingdom. "This is your honor, you wench. You are the foundation for our temple to reclaim its glory," he said, then decisively stabbed the dagger into Raviat's stomach. She collapsed to the ground, red blood flowing out, as he burst into a gleeful laugh. "Ha ha ha, now it's all over." He gloated and began to ponder. "Now all I need to do is bring Akatsuki Enoch here. No, the snow is falling so heavily it will be hard to find him. It is better to take the body." Before he could finish his sentence, a rock came crashing down on his head from behind. He screamed in pain. What was that? How could this be?" He saw the cloak that Raviat had taken off and thrown behind her, with the bloody dagger in it. "I thought I'd finished the job. Did I only stab her cloak?" Raviat spoke up. "Was it you, the one who pushed me into this hellish life?" Raviat threw the rock down and continued, "The glory of the temple? Do you have any idea how much Akatsuki and I have suffered for that? Betrayed by everyone around us, we couldn't trust anyone. Countless deaths in a single night made it impossible for me to sleep. Those painful days when even breathing felt weak. Do you know anything about that, huh?" Raviat screamed and grabbed him by the collar, throwing him to the ground, which left him utterly shocked and in disbelief. She drank the potion. So how does she still have this much strength? Raviat choked him with both hands. "Even if every bone in my body breaks, I will kill you." The priest started to panic. He screamed, "Ah," and used all his strength to push Raviat away before turning to run. "Why am I scared? My opponent is just a frail, noble lady. Why was I so scared that I ran? She holds such a terrifying grudge, it felt like I'd seen a ghost." He scrambled for the dagger and drew it. "You fool, how could you possibly kill me? Just obediently become the foundation for my plan." Raviat stood up and replied calmly, "Go on and do as you wish, but Akatsuki's personality and abilities are different from what you know. This isn't just a terrible curse for me, but for you as well. Your plan will never succeed. Even if you try to kill Akatsuki, I will absolutely turn back time 10, even 100 times to save him." The priest gritted his teeth. "Shut your mouth, you demon, how dare you?" A voice cut him off. Raviat isn't the one who needs to shut up, followed by a sudden slash from Akatsuki. Blood sprayed everywhere. "You're the one who's become a demon, High Priest." He collapsed, trying to speak helplessly. No, I can't fail here." Akatsuki rushed over to Raviat. "Are you hurt? You're covered in so much blood." "I'm fine." Her hands were still shaking from hearing the High Priest's words and the rage that had boiled over. "Why was it that just now, for a moment, I felt like I had become someone else? It doesn't seem to be the effect of the water, so what in the world was it?" Akatsuki pulled her into a tight hug. "I went to that room but you weren't there. You have no idea how panicked I was. I'm just so glad you're safe." Raviat's heart was still filled with unease. Can this really be called being safe? What do I do now? Because of that vial of water, I might be incurable. Is there really no other way but to live on edge for the rest of my life, or what? With that thought, she said, "Akatsuki, there's actually something I need to tell you." "Huh, what is it?" Suddenly they spotted a figure in the distance. It was Cadell, who was gritting his teeth in frustration and muttering, "The high priest is dead, so what happens to my deal? Damn it, if that's the case, I'll just have to take your lives." Akatsuki quickly pulled Raviat back, his sword instantly at the ready. Akatsuki lunged forward, slashing Cadell across the chest. He could only let out a cry of pain. Then Akatsuki lowered his sword, panting, his eyes still fixed on his opponent's every move warily. "Cadell Kani, you survived thanks to the generosity of the Enoch family, and in the end, you ruined everything with your own hands." "What are you talking about, generosity? Who was it that made my life like this? If you have to blame someone, it's due to Connie's own ambition. You still can't admit that even now? So it turns out that all this time, Cadell hasn't matured one bit. Frankly, your life is pathetic. You insolent brat, what could you possibly know? You've been blessed your entire life. I curse you, Akatsuki." Cadell screamed as he swung his sword towards Akatsuki. In that moment, Akatsuki whispered, "A curse? I've had my fill of those," as he shattered the fiend's sword and delivered the final blow. The fiend immediately collapsed onto the snow. Raviat rushed over, calling out to Akatsuki, "I'm sorry, Raviat. I should have noticed a little sooner. The blizzard buried the sounds. I was a step too late. Akatsuki, now is not the time for you to be saying things like that. That wound on your stomach is so deep. How did you get hurt so badly?" Akatsuki buckled in pain. "I guess I got a little hurt on my way here, but even so, I'm glad you're safe." Raviat anxiously held him. "You're bleeding so much. You came all this way while you were this badly hurt, didn't you?" Akatsuki could no longer stay on his feet, sprawling onto the snow. Raviat caught him and screamed in desperation. "Is anyone there? Help me. Someone's hurt, please. Raviat, I'm fine. I'll be okay if I just rest for a bit. You go on ahead. Don't lie to me. I would never leave you behind, no matter how hard I tried to stop it." The blood wouldn't stop flowing, covering the snow with the images I had seen in my dreams. Akatsuki's body was slowly growing cold. There was nothing I could do but watch the next ending unfold. If this goes on, Akatsuki will die. This can't happen. Akatsuki, just hold on a little longer. I'll die before you do. That way, if you save me, we can start over again. Saying that, she held the sword to her own neck as tears streamed down her face. She thought, with that vial of water and Akatsuki's power, we can turn back time. It's heartbreaking to give up everything we've accomplished so far. But this is better than never seeing Akatsuki again. I know this sounds strange and selfish, but I'll do better next time. I won't get lost like I did this time, so I'll do this one last time. Suddenly, Akatsuki grabbed Raviat's hand. "Don't. This cycle of you dying and me saving you, and having to go through these horrible things, it's time for this loop to end." "Huh? How do you know that? Akatsuki, don't tell me you remember." "I wish I did. The truth is, Raviat, on the day you asked to travel far away, I looked through Enoch's records, and I read the story of someone who died countless times because of Enoch's will. I should have asked you sooner, but I kept putting it off because I was scared. You had to go through all those terrible things, and yet I didn't have the courage to confirm it. I don't know why the memories I should have went to you instead, but I realized it after hearing what you said to that priest earlier, before I rushed out to kill him. Because I love you, because I wanted you to live, I've worn you out so much all this time. So, now I'm going to stop. I will free you from this curse." He placed a sweet kiss on Raviat's lips. "I'm sorry, Raviat." And then Akatsuki collapsed. Raviat's eyes widened in horror as endless tears streamed down her face. She could only cry out in despair. "No, this can't be happening. It was clearly so painful and tiring. But even so, because of you, I was able to endure it, even if it had to be repeated thousands of times. I thought it would be okay, as long as it was to see you. Why wouldn't you listen to me? Don't tell me the last thing I ever hear from you is an apology? It can't end like this." Raviat looked down in anguish at Akatsuki's lifeless body. She tremblingly took his hand. Please, just give me one more chance. I love you, Akatsuki. Please don't leave me behind, Akatsuki. I really hate snowy days. Your sword lies on the cold snow. If you don't answer, I'll do as I please. You're the one who left me first anyway. I've spent days like this with you, and only by being held like this did I realize how precious it was. Akatsuki must have slowly gathered all his strength for me so I wouldn't wake up. I could feel the warmth in my sleep. Thanks to that affection, I could sleep comfortably anytime. Akatsuki, when you're incredibly sad, do you start seeing illusions? Even though you held your breath, I could still feel your presence just like back then. And suddenly, a troop of knights came charging in. A loud shout echoed through the cold wind. Lady Raviat, Sir Akatsuki, where is her ladyship? If you can hear this, please answer. Amidst the chaos, Alan's gaze fell, his face showing clear worry the moment he grasped the situation. Because of the blizzard, all traces of Akatsuki had vanished. How on earth were they supposed to find them? He was shielding himself from the blizzard. Then he suddenly saw something. In the distant forest was a pool of red blood, and without a second thought, Alan shouted, "There's a bloodstain over there to the north." One by one, they advanced with him toward the pool of blood, and then he suddenly froze. The surrounding scene was chaotic. With dead bodies scattered across the cold snow, he couldn't help but exclaim, "Oh my God." But then a sight appeared that he couldn't believe his eyes. Raviat was lying on top of Akatsuki's body. Both of them were covered in wounds, and it seemed as if they were no longer breathing. Alan couldn't believe his eyes. He collapsed to the ground, mumbling, "It can't be both of them?" Caleb rushed over then. "Damn it, are we too late?" Caleb knelt to check both of their pulses and breath. Then he felt something. His eyes widened, and a spark of hope flashed within them. He turned and said, "Captain, it's still too early to give up. My lady is still breathing. Quickly get the knights of the Mongol kingdom here." Alan reached out to touch Raviat, but she unexpectedly slapped his hand away and screamed, "Leave me alone! I don't need anything. I'm going with Akatsuki." And Alan looked at her, stunned. "What are you talking about? The living have to keep on living. The fact that you're alive in this situation is nothing short of a miracle." "My lady, please be still for a moment. I don't want to. You're trying to separate me and Akatsuki. That's not it. Just calm down and hold on to me. If you act so recklessly now, you will regret it later." And upon hearing the word regret, she froze for a moment. At that moment, a girl ran over. She drew near, knelt in front of Raviat, and took her hand. "I'm so sorry to have to say this in a situation like this, but it seems you're not unattached." Hearing the girl say that, Raviat was a bit confused. She asked blankly, "What are you talking about? You don't know? It means that now you're not really by yourself. You have the seed of a baby in your womb." Hearing this, Raviat's face filled with utter disbelief. "You're not just lying because you're afraid I'm going to die, are you? It's true that there's a baby. Have you ever felt anything different from usual? Ordinarily, your body wouldn't have been able to withstand this, but your physical condition is good, or perhaps you've become too strong. I mean, I can feel a strange energy, of course. These aren't like the typical symptoms of a pregnancy. This isn't ordinary morning sickness. From what I can tell, your baby has a special healing ability." Hearing that her unborn child had a special ability, Raviat was a bit surprised. She glanced at the motionless Akatsuki, and a thought flashed through her mind. If it has a special healing ability, then could it be? To test her theory, she lay down and pressed her ear to his chest to check for a heartbeat. A tear escaped from the corner of her eye, her gaze now filled with hope and happiness. She joyfully exclaimed, "Ah, Akatsuki's heart is still beating." It had clearly stopped beating. "But how is that possible?" Caleb spoke up. "It seems the baby's power is holding on to the young duke, so you need to pull yourself together too, my lady. For starters, stop saying you're going to follow him." "I don't want to hear that a second time," Caleb shouted. "Hey, there are 2 injured people here. Are you only going to treat one of them?" Everyone with healing abilities came and treated them both. Raviat placed a hand on his body and smiled. "Akatsuki, can you hear me? Our baby. Even though you and I had given up, this baby didn't. I'm sorry, Akatsuki. From now on, I won't say such weak things anymore. I'll hold your hand tightly, so please hurry and come back to me." After the accusations against the high priest and his death were officially announced, the temple was thrown into disarray. They were forced to cooperate with the investigation, which was conducted with the help of the Mong kingdom. The high priest's records meticulously documented the temple's use of that potion, detailing just how cruel their actions had been. Caleb held the report in his hands. And they do all this and still want to be called a holy kingdom? What would have happened if they had invaded the Mong kingdom? Hearing him, Serendina could only sigh. Thinking about what the high priest did, I just want to bring him back to life and kill him a few more times. He turned to her and asked, "Oh, Serendina, the crown prince was captured alive, wasn't he? Do you have any idea what will happen to him?" Knowing him, he's probably making the crown prince feel a fraction of her pain right now. Raviat, at this moment, was in another place. The sound of a shattering cup echoed, mixed with pained groans. Jacques trembled and asked, "What in the world is this? What are you making me drink, Werner?" Werner said nothing, only watched, staring at him with cold, emotionless eyes, then said, "What else could it be? It's what you made my sister drink for that pathetic plan of yours." Jacques clutched his throat, coughing violently in disbelief. "Werner made me drink that potion. Don't be so dramatic already. The symptoms of that potion haven't even started to show. Your ability to recover will be destroyed, and you'll slowly die from the lack of divine power. Because of you, Raviat suffered through that pain. Now it's your turn to feel it, so slowly endure the pain that Raviat has felt for so long. Wait, just hear me out." He approached Werner, trying to justify himself. "I never really intended to harm your sister. Besides, she's recovering safely now, right? There's obviously an antidote." Werner shoved his hand away and said coldly, "That's right. Luckily, Princess Serendina brought it to me, but you won't be getting any. I spent every day fearing death and having nightmares. You, Werner, are you really going to let me die like this? We're best friends. If you were truly my friend, you wouldn't have touched the person most important to me. Goodbye, Jacques. I'll never see you again." He walked away, leaving Jacques kneeling there in stunned disbelief. He rushed to the door and pounded on it frantically. "Werner, come back! I was wrong!" Suddenly, he coughed up a mouthful of blood, staring at his hand in horror as he mumbled, "My chest is on fire. Do I have to keep feeling this pain? I don't want to. I don't want to die like this. Werner, anyone, please, save me." When Werner came out, he saw Akatsuki already standing there. He smiled and asked, "What brings you here?" "Akatsuki, you're up already? I heard you were badly injured? My recovery was faster than I expected, all thanks to Raviat. I also wanted to handle the crown prince, but it seems you were more effective, Werner. If so, that's a relief. You and Raviat have been through a lot. I'm also largely responsible for letting Jacques escape the Annex Palace, and as Raviat's brother, I felt it was my duty to do this." Then he and Akatsuki walked out of the palace. "I should have done this sooner. I'm going to see Raviat now. Are you coming to the manor as well?" "No, you go on ahead. I have to visit my fiancée today. I have something to say to Rose Salome." At Rose Salome's residence, she smiled at Werner and said, I was very surprised that you came to see me first, because I thought you would feel uncomfortable seeing me. Why would you think that? Well, because the condition of our strategy was to prioritize Raviat's safety, but even though I was being controlled, Raviat was still put in danger. She thought to herself, I've known for a long time that Werner already had someone important to him. He's the type of person who would do anything for them. To be that fond of his sister? It's sweet, but I wonder what that must be like. That's why I wanted to see it through to the end. Now it all just feels baseless. But then Rose Salome spoke up. Since I couldn't uphold our condition, I have to accept it if you ask to break off the engagement. Thank you for everything until now, and I'm sorry, Werner. Werner's face flushed, but then darkened as he asked, Why do you speak of calling off the engagement so lightly? It was the same during the war, and it's the same now. Is that all I am to you? Rose Salome stammered. Well, Werner stepped closer. If you want to call it off so badly, then I will. But instead, he took Rose Salome's hand and pulled her close, professing, This time, I will be the one to propose. Not for political strategy or for our families. Please promise to marry me again, Miss Rose Salome. A stunned Rose Salome stammered, Werner, what is all this? Werner continued, I have lived my life believing that protecting Raviat was my duty. But on our wedding day, when I learned the truth, Raviat had been kidnapped. At that moment, I realized that more than Raviat's safety, I had to worry about you first. If you acted that way then, there must have been a reason. I blamed myself for not realizing it. I want to be the one by your side whenever you're struggling. So, if you don't hate me, could you give me one more chance? Rose Salome's face flushed red as she called out, Werner, can I really not let this hand go? He's pulling me with such strength, yet he himself won't budge an inch. Tears streamed down Werner's face. Shouldn't I be able to let go now that I know? But there's no way I can. I love this sincere side of Werner. If only we could start over, not for any other reason. Is it just because I'm important? Over here, Ravis was pacing back and forth anxiously. I hope my brother is still doing okay. I already taught him how to propose to my sister-in-law. What if he's so nervous he can't say a word? This won't do. I have to go see for myself. But just as he turned, Alan appeared and called out, My lady, please stay still, if only for the baby's sake, then picked her up and placed her gently on the chair. She gave a strained laugh and said, What's there to worry about? I've never felt this healthy, and my appetite has increased a lot lately. My body has been recovering quickly since I became pregnant, though that's thanks to the antidote Serendina brought. It might be that the fetus's power is affecting the mother. Maybe one of the Enoch babies we're carrying has incredibly strong powers to make this possible. Suddenly, there was a knock on the door followed by an announcement. My lady, Akatsuki is here. I told him to wait in the back garden. Would you like to go there? Raviat replied excitedly. Of course. I'll head there now. Outside in the garden, Akatsuki was already waiting for Raviat. On her way, she asked Alan, By the way, how is the imperial family doing these days? I heard the emperor has abdicated. Yes, due to his majesty's health issues. He's showing more and more signs of confusion, to the point he can barely tell me from you. How dare you try to swallow me whole in a place like this? Once I regain the great sanity of the Leonard royal family, I will not let this stand. Where is Jacques? Isn't he coming to get me out of here right now? And so, the rest of his life would be spent on an island in the outskirts. The vacant emperor's throne will be filled by Prince Philips. While reorganizing the temple, and thanks to the help of the Hmong kingdom, the royal marriage between Princess Serendina and Prince Philips was decided. Those two? Yes, it is said the Hmong kingdom proposed a political alliance, and Prince Philips agreed on the condition of entrusting the care of Princess Teshi to the Hmong kingdom. It would likely be difficult to truly restore her position as a princess, so she can start a new life there. He knew that for a priestess, the news about Princess Teshi's treatment would be difficult for the lady to hear. Raviat reasoned. No, it's all right. I think it's better to resolve things peacefully, if possible, because Akatsuki's child and I will be living in this world too. By then, she had reached the garden and cheerfully called out to Akatsuki. Akatsuki, who was standing by a tree trunk, heard her and turned around. You're here, Raviat. How are you feeling? You're not in any pain, are you? If it hurts, just tell me, and I'll hold you tight. Haha, it seems our roles have been completely reversed. Is that so? Alan bowed and said, Then I shall take my leave. Oh, it's fine for you to stay. Not at all. Please be happy, you two. Akatsuki agreed. Alan is right. I want to show you something else. Raviat exclaimed in surprise. Huh? You want to show me in private? She asked curiously. What is it? Akatsuki said. You have to keep your eyes covered until I say so. We're almost there. Okay, we're here. Raviat froze at the sight before her, a garden bursting with vibrant flowers, and she exclaimed with excitement, Oh my gosh, this is where the old well used to be. When did it become so beautiful? These are all flowers I've never seen before. I heard that you should stay indoors until the baby is born, so since you can't travel far, I wanted you to be able to see lots of new and unusual flowers. We can't go now, but once the baby is born, I'll take you, anywhere you want. We can all watch the ocean horizon together, and it'll be fun to have new experiences in a faraway place. That's right, Akatsuki. But she wondered why the baby she imagined looked just like her. Our child would of course have to look like Akatsuki. If it was a child who looked exactly like Akatsuki from his childhood, they would be so cute, but even if they looked like Raviat, they would still be cute. I fell for you at first sight when we were little. That's how hard I pursued you. She blushed and thought to herself, it's just my imagination. I shouldn't get too carried away. She calmed herself down. Afterward, the two of them sat in a vibrant flower garden. Look, I think it's snowing, just like that time with the sled. Akatsuki asked with concern, are you okay? Okay with what? He said. Last time was the same. I hate snowy days. She blushed and asked, you heard that? Akatsuki nodded in confirmation. Yeah, as all my senses were fading away while I was dying, I was terrified by what you said, and that's what made me wake up. Now I can't wipe your tears for you, and I wondered every time it snowed, what would I do if you became sad? It was only then that I realized I had made the wrong choice, because the despair of never being able to see you again was worse than any other pain. I didn't know you would suffer even more. I'm sorry for leaving you with that wound, Raviat called out softly. Akatsuki, do you know why ever since I was a child, I never liked being prim and proper like that? Well, even when I had no memories, it was because I felt it would be a shame to waste the life that you gave me. And now, a snowy day is no longer the day you left me, but the day you returned to me, and also the day I learned about our child. All of these things happened because I'm still alive. Thank you for letting me live, Akatsuki. I'm happy I could live to see you, to think of you. So instead of saying you're sorry, there's something else you should be saying, right? Akatsuki blushed and replied, yeah, I love you, Raviat. He pulled her into a tight hug. I love you too, Akatsuki, my friend, my knight, and my lover. No matter how our relationship changes, we will always be the most important person to each other. After a long time, we struggled to finally reach this future. It's okay if it snows again someday, because it's clear that after that winter, spring will follow. This concludes the series I Made a Mistake. Thank you for following the story all the way to the end while waiting for a new series. Please check out the other series on the Chinmoy Review channel to pass the time. We wish you all happiness and energy. Goodbye and see you next time.